Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Dustin Fox, Jason Lloyd, Tyvis Powell, plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
Welcome, everybody, to the latest edition of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, along with G. Bush, representing San Diego today.
Yes, man. Shout out to San Diego. It's a great place, man. I was there.
Never been there.
It's a great place, man. I was out there like a tourist, man. Just, you know how it is when your wife is Asian. She got all the cameras.
Yep.
She tells everybody to take pictures at every occasion. She has no shame in her game.
Yeah.
I've never been to San Diego.
It's real nice, man.
For the first time this week, here's Tyvis Powell.
Yeah, real nice, man.
Hey, thank you. What's going on? San Diego, I hear, is good vibes, good food, and good people.
You've never been to San Diego. I'm surprised by that.
I work.
I know
Where
that.
do I have the time?
I would have assumed through either playing in college or playing
Yeah, that is right, though.
professionally, you would have been out in San Diego at some
No,
point.
because when I got to the league, they were becoming the LA Chargers.
It's been that long?
Yeah. What? They became the LA Chargers.
I feel like it was just 2-3 years ago.
2017, right?
I didn't realize it was that long
My first
ago.
year in the league, they were San Diego.
Okay.
No, yes.
Right.
And then they went to LA. My 2017, 2018.
Okay. I didn't realize it had
When
been
I
that long.
played the Chargers, we was in LA. How about that?
Time flies by.
I will say this, though, Tyvis, man. Listen, you know, I wear a lot of hats. I'm becoming a Mad Hatter. But I will say this, man. If he's watching your boy Swagnito, let me just keep it real. Every time I wear that hat,
Every time
somebody see it,
where do you get that hat?
I need it. You got to listen.
That boy Swagnito
on Instagram.
Hey, Swagnito send me one too.
Hey, listen.
I'm about to be joining the Swagnito club with you, but I don't even know if I could wear it.
No.
Listen, listen. If me, Tyvis, and what's it? Earl give you a pass, you can wear it. Listen, that's the thing. That's like,
why is it that we was able to wear the Redskins hat and Chief Wahoo, but you can't wear this one?
I mean, I don't even.
The brothers was like, yeah, you get it.
I personally would not wear Chief Wahoo anymore. Some people do. I wouldn't. But
this is not Chief Wahoo.
I'm about to say it's not Chief Wahoo. It's,
looks exactly the same.
Listen, this is Meech's tattoo. He just got out the penitentiary.
That's right.
That's Meech right there. What you talking about?
Well, we got a lot to talk about today. Besides Meech, we got
them big Meech.
Let's face it, we got a lot of Cavs topics. We got a lot of Cavs to talk about. We will do a little Browns. We'll talk with Mary Kay. She had some interesting comments about JOK. Talking about the potential of him not being able to come back at all. I don't know where that came from.
Bro, listen. Yeah. I had this last week on the Ultimate Browns. We had this last week.
You did?
Yes. I wrote this.
You got your ear to the ground like
that?
All right, so we're going to get more into that with her, and Joe Thomas will join us later in the show. Besides that, I mean, we're mostly talking about Cavs. Tonight's the night. Cavs, Celtics. Cavs, we all wanted them to get to this game at 15-0. Well, here they are playing the Celtics tonight. They do have some banged-up players on the bench. We'll find out more about that in a little bit. We'll get into our first Cavs topic right after we talk to Mike.
Yeah, 15-0 is special, a chance at history tonight, and let's dive right into it after we remind you guys that FanDuel is undisputed as America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if that first $5 bet wins. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place, so when you get a hunch in the middle of a game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to join today. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
Mike, a lot to get to with the Cavs, but we'll start with the excitement level here, guys, because the question is, have you ever been this excited, or when was the last time you were this excited for a regular season basketball game?
When the Cavs played the Warriors Christmas Day
That's it.
after they won it all.
That's it. go. That was crazy.
Hey, that's stop everything.
Yeah.
We got to see this game after they done won it all. Kyrie Ism hit the game winner.
But that was 8 years ago.
I know, but it's been that long since I was hyped.
They had them Christmas unis on.
Yeah.
They both, and the wild part about it is that was when they had got KD too.
Yeah, was that KD's ring?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
And Kyrie backs him down, hits that little turnaround on Klay Thompson.
Dang.
I was going crazy, bro. Like I was, them years. To make myself I like to have context. Humans need context to understand how good or great or whatever it is to put in perspective. So I going back and I'm watching these Cavs teams, and like something we was talking about the other day, I'm like, man, yeah, it's kind of exciting like that because. When you watch those old Cavs teams, you was always waiting for them to play teams like the Warriors. Mm-hmm. Another game that I watched was I believe it was 2015, and it was against the San Antonio Spurs.
When LeBron fouled out and Kyrie went crazy.
Yeah, right.
These is embedded in my, you see how you got them shared games where you like, oh my goodness, man. Or you go back and remember the game against Washington where the Wizards they had John Wall and they was talking trash. It was like Bradley Beal and LeBron hit the turnaround bank shot 3 to go into overtime. Them is the games I love. So I'm watching them games, these games like this, I'm excited for it. Because we got a lot of people that could potentially be out this game. But if they win tonight in Boston, it's going to serve notice to a lot of people. Oh, this is different.
I agree. I think the system is going to be tested because of the fact that if it is people – so far, guys have been banged up, but it didn't matter who was coming in there.
Right.
They were still in the system, still hitting shots. You can count on some guys to do some things. Maybe you have an Evan Mobley step up. Maybe a DG go off. Maybe you had those type of moments. But for the most part, that system has been designed to swing the ball around, get the open guy. And I think even though a lot of those names are questionable and we depend on some of those guys to do a lot of good things, I'm still in a good spirit because I just trust that they believe they're bought all the way in. I think this whole team has become selfless to where it's like it's not about my personal stats. It's about getting the best look. We're going to go out down. Every time we touch the ball, we want to get the best look and best shot at the basket.
Yeah.
And no matter who that may be. And I think if they continue to do that, I think that's what's going to separate them team-wise than the Celtics.
I mean, certainly if all of those guys don't play, it's a hindrance, right? None of those 4 guys individually are game breakers. The reason why you win or lose. They've all been good.
Yes.
But any one of those guys by themselves, you can win this game without any one.
Yeah.
Now, if all 4 are out, we know Dean Wade's out. The other 3 we don't know. If all 4 are out, the biggest strength of the Cavs, or one of them has been, we've talked about it all year, is their depth. Mm-hmm. Well, their depth, if all of these guys are out, is severely challenged. Now you're only down to really, 6 legit guys.
Do we
That's
know?
a big difference.
McNuggets, do you know exactly what their injury is?
Yeah, so Wade's out with an ankle, Okoro's dealing with an ankle, Merrill has an ankle, and LeVert has a sore knee. So
ankles.
It's going to come out to pregame warm-ups, see how the guys feel. They have a shoot-around this morning. And then they'll have the pregame shoot-around about 2 hours before tip-off, and that's when we'll kind of get a better idea of those 3 questionable players, who will play and who won't.
I'll be surprised if LeVert doesn't play. The other guys, who knows?
I'll be actually interested to see because, I mean, we making it a big deal, but it is only the 16th game of an 82-game season. Right. And I wonder if they look at it like...
I mean, they've already admitted to us that they care about this streak. And guys,
if that's the case, then it ain't no question of they going out there.
And you're playing the Celtics. If they lose to the Celtics, there's going to be a segment of the... And I don't know if I don't personally care about this stuff. I know a lot of our fans are sensitive about these things. If they lose to the Celtics, there's going to be some people who are going to be like, well, they finally played a good team, and look what happened.
Well, you're gonna get Here's what you're gonna get tonight, man. Yeah. You're gonna get.
What do you mean? They played good teams.
Yeah,
they already beat good teams.
They already beat some good
squads. They beat the Lakers when they was rolling. They beat the Warriors when they was rolling.
But this is Knicks the defending champs.
Okay,
that's fair. That's fair.
It's on the guard.
Yeah.
But they still not full strength either.
What's the Celtics injury report, Mike?
Well, Porzingis hasn't played all year.
Right.
And he's still out.
Yeah.
Tonight, according to ESPN, and I'm pulling up the injury report as we speak, Jaylen Brown played in their last game. He's expected to play. Peyton Pritchard is the only other player on the injury report, and he's a game-time decision, which is the same way they list Okoro, LeVert, Merrill.
Yeah.
Which means,
And he's an important member of their team, too.
yeah, him and Ty Jerome have been the two best backup point guards in basketball.
Right.
So this is where I was
Yeah.
going. Ty
Yeah.
Jerome is now a Super Saiyan grade 2 with a Rage Boots multiplier.
I don't know what you're saying.
If you know, you know.
If you know, you know.
Hey,
You
listen.
ain't playing the game.
Like, no, like if you didn't know, like, see, you know, it's like
Is that
Trunks.
Pokemon?
No,
No,
this
that's
is Dragon Ball Z.
Oh,
So
Dragon Ball
Trunks in the new saga, right? Trunks is like a Super Saiyan,
Yeah.
but he is way lower than Goku and Vegeta. So, but Trunks in this timeline
Trunks cold.
got this rage boost, right? Like he got this Zenkai boost, and all of a sudden was just strong as the other two Super Saiyans. So, long story short, if you know, you know in the chat. This is what Ty Jerome is.
Yeah.
So Ty Jerome is it should not be this good. But since all those other dudes are out,
Yeah.
his prowess goes up when other people are out. He averages more points, he's more aggressive, and when you get aggressive Ty Jerome, all of a sudden he plays like a borderline starter.
Yeah.
He's
borderline?
Look at that.
Well,
Look at that.
Borderline
Look at that.
starter?
I just hope Okoro and LeVert can play.
Sheesh.
Because then you could start Okoro and have Jerome coming off the bench. As great as he was, I'd rather him come off the bench with Donovan playing.
No, he's good. He's still gonna come off the bench.
Well, if Okoro, LeVert, both are out, then he'd
Right.
probably start.
Who would they start Niang or
guess they could-
or Ty Jerome?
If LeVert and Okoro can't go,
Yeah.
because they don't have Wade, they can't start Niang, or they have no backcourt bigs.
Right,
No
right.
depth in the front court. So
Yeah.
I think they'd have to start Jerome.
What you mean? Tristan Thompson's still there.
Tristan Thompson's not playing tonight unless it's desperate situations.
He might they get in foul trouble. You know,
The
Mobley.
Celtics play 5 out, and with all due respect to Tristan Thompson, like 5 years ago, I think he would have struggled staying in front of some of these Boston perimeter guys. Fast forward to now, minus the
Wow,
PEDs.
5 years ago, Tristan was a pretty good defender.
He better, if he back on that.
About 2016,
Or maybe
Tristan
10
Thompson.
years ago.
That's
I
10
don't
years.
know.
Exactly.
Yeah, right. Like, that's crazy. Like, it's about 10 years ago.
If Tristan get on that juice again, he's gonna stand in front of everybody.
I've already suggested that Tristan should just start doing PEDs again.
Yeah.
Get on that juice.
Let's work on that, Mike.
Get
You
on
spent
that
some time in
juice.
the locker room.
Shoot.
Maybe
That boy was grabbing boards, dunking on everybody on the juice.
maybe when he's not looking, you jab him in. Well,
Stab him in his butt.
Ty, let me ask you this. Of all the storylines in tonight's game, whether it be an individual matchup, whether it be the defending champs going up against the team that knocked them out in the playoffs last year, whether it's 16-0, in your opinion, what's the single most interesting storyline in tonight's game against the Celtics?
I got to know if Evan Mobley is that guy or not. I need to know because we seen a glimpse of it when he had to fill in for Jared Allen last year at the 5. And even though they got eliminated, I thought he played particularly well. I got to see now that you in this new offense, now that you doing all these handling the rock, going coast to coast, pulling threes. I need to see all that. I don't want you to revert back to if I'm in the paint, that's all I'm going to do. Like, I need you to be what you've been this entire year. If you do that, until they get Kristaps back, they don't stand a chance, in my personal opinion.
I like what you said. That's where I'm going. Listen, Evan Mobley, if you get 90,000-year-old Paleozoic era Al Horford guard on you, that's supposed to be big.
Hey, what Kobe do? Look. If you get Al Horford, get out the way.
Hey, listen.
Get out the way.
Hey, you know they get 15. You know they get 15-yard penalties for that. Like now, 15. Listen, that's supposed to be baked ziti every time. Baked ziti. Your aunt's baked ziti with 3 Parmesan cheese. He's supposed to eat.
I don't like too much Parmesan cheese.
See,
You don't like Parmesan cheese?
I'm anti-Parmesan.
What about the
Ricotta.
Worst take ever.
ricotta?
I don't like ricotta, and I don't like Parmesan. I
You're
like
from
mozzarella.
New York. I'm from Brooklyn.
We gotta take the food credit away from you.
What?
Yeah.
I
G.
got like
Bush, you're not the
Parmesan
foodie
cheese? No, I get
aficionado.
everything without Parmesan cheese. I don't like ricotta and
You don't
Parmesan.
like
The only
so-
two cheeses
so
I
you
don't
don't
like.
eat like a Caesar salad?
No, it's inappropriate.
This is like
disgusting.
This is a white person's version of Earl don't eat cheese.
You don't like Parmesan?
Caesar's Parmesan cheese?
Yes.
No, not eating Parmesan cheese is not as bad as not eating a cheeseburger.
I mean, but it like you are to me, like if you look at you, you are the quintessential like fake Italian guy.
Fake Italian?
Like
I'm not Italian.
You're not Italian at all, but like we would swear up and down like you are definitely a henchman for The Sopranos.
Yeah, right.
You're definitely one of the
I
henchmen.
wish I could have been.
funny.
I should have been on that show.
Yeah, like I could really see you like trying to cover up a murder.
Yeah,
like the bodies is
I'm
behind
down.
the.
I said once before I'd help Tyvis clean up a murder.
body.
He's a cleanup man, but you gotta have no ricotta.
I don't like Parmesan and ricotta.
No lasagna then.
So here's the thing. I'll eat lasagna, and I'll eat the ricotta cheese. I would not eat it on its own.
Oh,
Okay,
okay,
that's fine.
okay. You good?
I'm
You're back.
with you.
You back?
And I would.
Now
If
what
there's, like sometimes you get chicken parmesan or meatball sub, whatever, and there's Parmesan cheese kind of in the meatball.
Yeah.
I'll eat that. But I don't like the extra put on top.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
All right.
we're
Thank
good.
you.
We're
But yeah,
back.
I love
You back.
All
You
right.
back.
But I love lasagna. Yeah, I'll eat lasagna.
All right,
100%.
G, that was a crazy detour. I'm glad we went down there.
Yeah.
Back to your Evan Mobley point.
Now, Evan Mobley. Wow, I didn't even know where I was at. Evan Mobley, like when he get the ball, like this is the difference between him and the Cavs and the Celtics. This is the place. Like to be honest with you, we really ain't got nothing for Tatum. I'll just keep it real. We really ain't got nothing for Tatum. If Jaylen, I would rather Jaylen Brown kill me than Jason Tatum, but we really have no match for him. They don't have no match for Donovan Mitchell. He gonna get his regardless, right? It comes down to what Evan Mobley and Darius Garland's gonna do. At this point, I feel Darius Garland is all the way back. I feel he's back to a point where he views himself as one of the guys in this league, and he's an all-star. So he's tap dancing on everybody, and he's doing what he need to do. Now, Evan Mobley, this is the area in which the Boston Celtics, if he's playing like he's supposed to play, they should go into these series and these games say, we have nothing for Evan Mobley. Al Horford, if Al Horford cannot cover him.
They got to adjust their game plan to what he's doing.
So guys, a couple of things here. First of all, for me, and I'll admit maybe this may be a little prisoner of the moment, this is the most excited I've been about a regular season game since probably the last time Bird and Magic played against each other.
That's crazy.
What's wrong with you?
That's crazy. That is wild.
I just gave you a layup and told you the Cavs and Warriors.
I know that, but when LeBron was here, the regular season was such an afterthought. Because you knew the Cavs were going to make a deep playoff run, and I was only interested in playoff.
Okay, you said it could be any regular season game.
Yes.
Kobe's last game.
I don't have a special feeling about Kobe.
Oh, my God.
Like I do about LeBron and Bird and Magic. But, the thing is, it doesn't – I'm not saying I've never been excited about a regular season game. I love winning streaks. I love records.
History.
I love history. This is when the Guardians had that 22-game winning streak. It was so exciting. And I love this because if they win this game, now we're going to start talking about could they catch the Warriors? Could they get to 24? Like this is so the excitement. If the Cavs were 14-1, I'd be into this game tonight. But it's a whole different thing because they're 15-0. Because I love the fact that they haven't lost, that they have this incredible streak, that if they win tonight, it's the second longest winning streak to start a season in the history of the league. That blows my mind. So that has me super pumped. And I'll throw in another reason why. Yeah. It's on TNT. And TNT is the best.
Yep.
I want to see Charles Barkley. I want to see Shaq.
I want to see.
Thank God they extended.
Yes, I'm into all of it. I don't know, when it's on. No offense to our local broadcast, but it's not the same.
Aren't you glad that they're not getting rid of that show?
I know.
I mean, listen. I mean, the suits always mess it up.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They all like. What are you guys looking at? Why would you even consider that to be gone? What are you doing? That's
nuts.
That's dumb. No. Here's the thing. If you made a great point about the 15-0. They win tonight.
It ain't
all bets are off on that Warriors.
Ain't nobody stopping them.
all bet because think about the boost they gonna get if they say,
look at those next 3 games at home against
games.
bad teams.
So
16,
the New
17,
Orleans
18,
game,
19.
that is the ultimate. If they beat Boston tonight,
Yeah.
tomorrow is the ultimate at-home track game. But after that, Steve, don't take this down.
3 days off, then Toronto.
3 days off.
Yeah.
Game. 3 days off. They finally get some rest.
2 days off.
2 days
between
off. Sorry,
Toronto
but they
and
play
Atlanta.
one game in 6.
Yeah,
One game
they'll
in 6
finally
days.
get the breather.
Finally get to catch their breath after this incredibly fast start to the season. Not just in terms of.
I hope it
record.
doesn't happen, but I could definitely see a scenario where they win tonight and then lose against New Orleans
Who
tomorrow.
did the
'cause it's
Warriors
next day.
lose to lose their streak?
I think the Bucks, but I'll confirm. Hold on.
Now I will say I will say this. Kenny Atkinson, I don't know if he playing this or playing 3-dimensional chess with these guys. Is Donovan Mitchell has been off for 3 games.
It,
3
was,
days.
It was
Yeah.
the Bucks, by the way.
3 days
okay.
he's been out.
How many
Wasn't
points
much.
Giannis have?
In the game they lost, it was Saturday, December 12th.
Well,
Greg
the Bucks have
Monroe.
lost pretty much every game
Greg
this season.
Monroe.
Greg Monroe
Oh.
led the Bucks with 28 points. Giannis had 11.
That's a shame.
And G, to answer your question about Donovan, that was a predetermined before the season started. It didn't matter if the Cavs were 14-0 or 0-14. Donovan was going to sit that game out. And Kenny said that they have design rest days for all their key players throughout the season, regardless of win streak records. It will only change if late in the season in particular, he said that they need a game for playoff seeding, divisional tiebreakers, etc.
So it worked out well because
Worked out brilliant.
Donovan is chilling. He's been on ice for 3 days.
Right.
He plays this. So really the back-to-back is you're going to have your best players. Evan Mobley missed some time a little bit ago, so it's not like truly a back-to-back like that.
Right.
And you know what? I kind of like it because if you're going to get Ty Jerome giving you that type of production when he's when he's starting or getting those type of minutes, I'm all for it. Like, you know, and that's the exciting part is once if you get past this game, the level of confidence that they will be playing with, now it's a realization, like, you know, it's like a weight loss journey. Like the best part of a weight loss journey is when somebody you don't know say, "Hey, you've been working out," and you'd be like, "You know what I have, man? I'm so glad you told me that." And then you won't eat the cheeseburger on the way home.
Yeah, that's right.
Like you got motivation now.
Yeah.
Like now, if you beat the Celtics here, are you gonna just lay against New Orleans?
I don't think so.
No.
I would hope not.
No, 'cause
yeah, I
they
mean, if you win in Boston, well, you're going to feel like they're the defending champs. We just won on their court or with our bench completely banged up. If we can do that, we can do anything.
Yeah, it's exciting. It is, and
Catch 24.
And Tyvis, let me ask you this, man. Like, people have been saying this a lot, and I understand that it will always, people will say it's always a Brownstown. I'm starting to come around a little bit more where it's like, yeah, people may have an allegiance to the Browns because it is football and this is the birthplace of football, and we are passionate about that. But I feel like we're stepping into an era where it's a vacuum, and people, if a team like the Cavs, who don't have none of the issues like the Browns have, none. They play hard, they play the right way, they're all likable guys, they
Coached well.
If you give us a great product in Cleveland, why wouldn't people start looking and watching these games more intently and saying this is an opportunity for them to take a little spot in the city's heart?
When LeBron was here, was this still a Brownstown?
Yes. It was less of a gap, but
it was close at that time. Because you got to think, at 2014 when he came back,
right.
the Browns were in the druthers.
They were, but still, we were still this time of year talking more Browns than Cavs.
Yes.
And right now, for like the last week or so, it's more between the fact the Browns are terrible, they were on a bye, and they lost to a bad team. And the Cavs being on the winning streak, not just being good, being on this winning streak, has made a difference in how much we're talking about the Cavs.
I feel like we talked a bunch of Guardians this year. A bunch.
Oh, certainly more than last year, no doubt.
I mean, we had a Guardians podcast twice a week.
Yeah.
We talked Guardians, like especially when they were doing things. We talked about the All-Stars, and we gave them credit. I just think right now, man, listen, this helps us. People don't understand how much this helps in the city. Like, yeah, we do this for a living, But if we didn't have these games to look forward to, can you imagine talking about that Brown stuff every day?
Miserable, yeah.
It makes you sick to your stomach, Tyvis. I want to see good play. This is a game I'm literally looking forward to that I thought we would be looking forward to in games like the Chiefs or seeing if we got a Steelers game coming up.
crazy.
And now we talk about people getting fired.
It's irrelevant. When we played the Celtics last year in the playoffs, didn't Donovan get hurt and knocked
He
out?
played the first 3 games, I believe, and then missed the last 2, or played the first 2, missed the last 3. Can I give you what I'm most looking forward to tonight? And then we'll get to our next topic. Thank you, Lloyd.
I said no.
So throughout the first 14, 15 games of the season, the Cavs haven't had back-to-back leading scorers. And we've talked at length on this show, and I think appropriately so, about Donovan Mitchell's acceptance in giving some other guys opportunities down the stretch and pulling back on the reins, letting other guys shine, and rightfully so, considering how well Darius and Evan have played down the stretch. In a game like this, with the national spotlight on, if it's coming down to the wire and it's a close game, are we going to see the reluctant Donovan who allows Darius and Evan and these other guys to kind of get their shine? Or are we going to see Donovan pull the rein back in and see how the offense looks against a team of this caliber with the defensive pieces they have? How they execute down the stretch offensively is something I'm really looking forward to. There's not a right or wrong answer, by the way.
Guys,
if Donovan,
I personally,
if Donovan pulls it back in,
I
he's
don't think
earned the
so.
right to.
I don't think he will. I think he if you truly want to instill the confidence in somebody, this is the game.
And that doesn't mean he can't take a big shot along the way.
No.
Of course he will.
I would do it now.
Yeah.
Where it's not the playoffs, but it is a huge game. And if we lose it, all right, it was fun while it lasted, but it ain't going to hurt us in the playoffs. But I would give them that confidence now that I trust y'all enough to do it. And then in the playoffs, if I got to do it in the playoffs, then I'll do it.
He's an unselfish superstar.
I take it back in the playoffs.
He knows Donovan Mitchell cares about the team. He's been paid. He's respected. We trust him to make a big shot. He's going to take some big shots, but he will not be afraid to move that ball around. LeBron James is the greatest player in the history of the sport. He was never afraid to. And LeBron is a superstar, in my opinion, more selfish than Donovan Mitchell.
Michael Jordan passed it to Steve Kerr.
But, yeah, sure. I mean, I don't think Donovan Mitchell is going to want to just play dribble, and that's it. Just give me the ball and get out of the way. That's not who they are, and I don't think that's who he is.
I'm not insinuating that's what he's going to do. I'm just curious to see how much of the range
I don't know. That's how I
he's going
feel.
to let
Go
it
ahead, G.
disclose.
Great.
Man, listen, I just seen Donovan Mitchell close the Sixers all the way up out of here. 11 quick ones. Boom, boom, boom. Listen, by the way, that is a finish move. Everybody has the finish move. The Hulk Hogan has a leg drop, which I hated. It's just a regular leg drop. Why does Hulk Hogan?
Nothing special.
Why does Hulk Hogan's leg drop automatically drain you and kill you? Like, I don't get that.
People's elbow.
People's elbow. That's an elbow drop. I don't understand why that's the most electrifying move. Like, I like things like sweet chin music or pile drivers or the diamond
Pile
cutter.
driver. I almost gave somebody a pile driver on concrete.
The most popular one is the RKO.
What's that?
Randy Orton.
Wow. I know Cowboy Bob Orton.
I only deal.
You don't know what the RKO is?
No. I only deal with the legend moves.
Okay, stunner.
That's the Stone Cold Stunner. I like that. You know.
You don't know. Wait, first of all, the RKO is very legendary.
Yeah, Randy Orton's a Hall of
Yeah,
Famer.
what are you talking about? You know how many people just
Is that Cowboy Bob Orton's son?
Hey, listen.
I have no
Might
idea.
be.
Randy Orton is tier 2, bro.
Do you remember Cowboy Bob Orton from back in the day? Or you know, young
The RKO is a very legendary finisher.
I mean,
I don't know what the
it's
hell
not.
that
Y'all
it's
sad,
not.
man.
I'm with Tyvis is on the right side of history here.
But I did have a point. He got a finish move.
Yeah.
His step back 3 is devastating. If he gets his finish move off, you're in trouble. Like that's like a dagger. Like his step back, he gets it off against anybody. And I'm going to say this. This is one of those games where you put yourself as the favorite for MVP. You say, how can you have that already after 15 games? You already got your 15-0. You at Boston Garden, right? This is the opportunity to show that Donovan Mitchell, who never gets mentioned in the top 10 of anything, never gets anything. It's a time for him to be like, hey, listen, Jaylen Brown, you're not better than me. And matter of fact, I feel like I'm on the same level as Tatum.
First of all, Donovan is a way better closer if it comes down to crunch time. Jason Tatum I know he hit one game winner this year, but he is not the guy in the crunch.
I feel like Tyvis. I feel like this is one of those games where, and I can imagine it. Stephen A. Smith, Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell is right now the MVP of the league. He came, and Jason Tatum, I like Jason Tatum, but Donovan Mitchell is a bad man. I wanted him in New York 5, 6, 7 years. He signed with Cleveland. I can imagine him saying it right now, especially if he closes them out in convincing fashion, where he gets his finishing move off, the step back dagger.
Donovan knows that Jason Tatum can't mess with it. Like Donovan, I think in Donovan's mind, he knows that one-on-one, I think he feels nobody on the Celtics could guard him.
Hey, Tyvis, man, I'm so happy.
And I agree with him, actually.
My knees, man.
Oh,
my knees.
My knees.
These knees are going to be shaking all throughout this next read. If you have shaky knees from being hungover, you should be taking Z-Biotics pre-alcoholic biotic drink. It is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to make Z-Biotics your first drink of the night. Drink responsibly and you'll feel your best tomorrow. Here's how it works. For best results, make pre-alcohol your first drink of choice. Step 2, drink responsibly, pace yourself, hydrate, get a good night's sleep. And step 3, enjoy tomorrow. Wake up feeling refreshed and ready to take on the day. Go to zbiotics.com/LockedOnNFL to learn more and get 15% off your first order when you use the promo code LockedOnNFL at checkout. ZBiotics is backed with 100% money-back guarantee, so if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Head to zbiotics.com/LockedOnNFL and use promo code LockedOnNFL at checkout for 15% off. Bull, I think at this point, most people believe what the Cavaliers have done at 15-0 is truly 100% legitimate. But there are still a few people out there.
Who?
Nameless guys and women, pundits, who are still comparing this Cavaliers team to the 2015-2016 Hawks, which got out to a great start, won 60 games, but didn't have playoff success, and some other teams in previous years that have had good regular seasons but not sustainable in the playoffs. And obviously, we don't know the Cavs' playoff fate yet. But is anything about this 15-0 start in your mind fluky, or is this 100% legit?
I mean, personally, I understand why somebody would feel that way, especially if you're not watching the Cavs play every day, because the Cavs were a good team last year, but they didn't seem special in any way. Mm-hmm. And they barely beat the Magic, who were a first-time playoff team, and then got eliminated in – did we get swept by the Celtics or 5? I can't remember. 5 by the Celtics. So there was no reason coming into this year to think the Cavs were going to be some great team. None of us thought they were going to be some great team coming into this year. So I understand why some people might think there's some level of flukiness. Now, ultimately, you got to be a really good team to win 15 in a row. Not many teams have done it in the history of the sport. Even that Hawks team, which did have a great regular season, what'd they win? 60? What'd they win that year?
They won 60 and 22.
Didn't LeBron beat them in the conference finals, or was it the first round they lost?
No, they were the 1 seed, so it was the second round of conference finals.
Right. So they made it to the conference finals. But yes, I remember that year. I don't know about you guys, thinking that they were a fraud. Mm-hmm. I thought that Hawks team was a fraud. Now, I didn't watch them play, so I don't know how good they looked during the regular season. How often was I watching the Hawks play that year? But, so maybe it's an unfair comparison. I just watched the way the Cavs have played offense this year, and they have been so overwhelmingly good on offense from the start of the year till now that I just can't see it being a fluke. Now, does that mean they're not? I don't know. Like, they could lose in the second round of the playoffs, and we're all going to be like, what a waste that was. I don't know. We won't know for sure until they get, to the playoffs and do what they do there. But I think there's a 98% chance this is not a fluke.
Well, I know it's not fluky because it's got Bull watching regular season.
That's true. Locked in for regular season games.
The meaningless regular season that boy has talked about for 2 years.
Yes.
He's locked in, so there's no way that this is fluke. No, I just think that the way that they're playing right now, it's nothing you can really do to stop it. You know, we always reference to when Draymond talked about it, like making that extra pass. It is something that even on a good defender, like you can't recover from it. If somebody oversteps and he makes the extra pass, like you can't do nothing about it, and guys is knocking down these shots. So to me, I don't understand how you can consider that to be fluke. Now, the thing that impresses me the most is when any game that the Cavs have had this year where it was like a good opponent, like for example, I think the two people go to is the Lakers and the Warriors. Those were the two games. The Cavs handle business against both of them. Like, so it's like they get up for these games. Like it's like they take it to a whole nother level when you get into a big time game. So I don't understand how you can think that that's fluke. If they like for the most part they playing on a level, but when they play in a big game, they take it even above that level. So it's like,
I don't know, but gee, I think for the small percentage of people that think it's a fluke, and my guess is at this point it's a very small percentage. Tonight would end that completely if they win.
Yeah, like tonight puts an end to that. They would have to pivot and say, well, did the Celtics really care?
Yeah. Oh, I bet you. Oh, yeah. That would be nonsense.
I mean, they've already been there, done that. They're trying to
rest their guys. It's in Boston. They care.
And they want to end this winning streak.
You know good and well, obviously, especially when guys in the NBA, good versus good, they want to show out, especially on national TV. But I take it a little bit to this place. In McNuggets, you play ball, and Tyvis obviously played ball at the the highest level. So can you guys remember a time where before you got to where you were going, right? Mm-hmm. And maybe you were unproven or no one knew who you were, and you have been putting work in, mm-hmm. and you're like, man, even for yourself, you didn't really kind of see the dividends, and all of a sudden, one day, you woke up and was like, oh, I get it. I totally understand. Oh, so I could have been doing, it's this moment of clarity. I could have been doing that. Now you can get to your spots. You Tyvis looking around like, I already know what you're going to run. I've been watching film.
Yeah.
And then you've been putting the work in, and now you just on autopilot. You in physical shape, so now you done put that work in, so now you getting there quicker.
You know what that's called? When you get that realization, you become un-F-woodable. Right. That's what that is.
You know what? For some reason, while you were saying that, I was thinking about how the first time I called a college basketball game to play-by-play,
right?
Tyvis was not even born yet.
That was crazy.
That's what you thought about?
I don't know why that popped in my head.
Well, see,
what year were you born again?
94.
Oh, no, you were 2. Sorry. 96 is the first time I called the game.
But even with that, you say that, Bull,
Anthony wasn't born.
Anthony wasn't born. You guys were babies.
When you doing, say, for instance, you've been doing radio, you've been doing, you've been doing play-by-play.
Yeah.
And then, this was a new space where it's like, okay, I'm on camera all the time.
Yeah.
And then you do it and you do it. And then there's that one show that you have, you be like, I know what the hell I'm doing. It's easy money. I'm comfortable. When you get to that point, it's all downhill from there because now you believe it and there's a point of no return. Like you never go back to feeling uncomfortable. You never go back, Tyvis, to being like, oh my gosh, we're playing Penn State this week. You're like, so what, bro?
That's right.
It don't matter. I'm gonna do this regardless. And I think the Cavs have gotten to a point where Evan Mobley is like, yeah, y'all been waiting for the unicorn. This is how I play. I'm not going back. Darius Garland like, yeah, y'all should have caught me. You should have killed me last year. You almost had me up out of here, but guess what? Now I'm back. And Donovan Mitchell like, man, look, man, it's our time. And when it's your time, you can look at people in a different way and you got that level of confidence. Like, all right, well, we may lose this game, but you got to see us.
To your point earlier, Tyvis, you mentioned that your storyline tonight was wanting to see if Evan Mobley is still that guy against Boston. Mm-hmm. I feel like if he is still that guy, I think which we're all expecting him to be against Boston, after today, to your point, we're never going to really think about that again.
No.
Maybe in the playoffs, I don't know, but if he passes the test tonight in Boston,
he answered the question.
That's the biggest test he's going to get in the regular season. Yeah. So there'll be no reason to question it after today as long as he does it.
And like McNuggets say, it's a make or miss league, right? So Evan Mobley may miss shots, right? Mm-hmm. Darius Garland may miss some shots, right? And okay, that's just what happens sometimes. But the way that they go about their business, the demeanor, the way they play, the style, the aggressiveness level, even if they lose tonight and he goes in there and Evan Mobley looks like the best player on the court, I'm going to come away in this game excited because I'm like, we just missed shots, man. It's 15. Let's start a new streak. But I'm not going to be worried about Evan Mobley reverting back to sitting in the corner waiting for the ball. Right.
Yeah.
When it comes to fluky, when I think of that term in sports, I always go back to that Steelers team a few years ago that started like 13-1.
Right.
And they had won all these games, and even the Chiefs to an extent this year, but they have the championship pedigree that, although what they've done this year is fluky, I don't consider them flukes. I go back to that Steelers team that was 13-1, that they just completely unraveled down the stretch.
They felt like a complete fraud.
It did. And when you watched it, you couldn't necessarily explain how the results they were getting was the result they were getting. It's like when you take a math test and you get to the right answer, but all your work beforehand is wrong. You just happen to luck into the right answer.
Man, that's a beautiful thing when it happens.
When you watch the Cavs play, and I think to your point, Bo, the people who still say they're flukes are the ones who haven't seen them play yet because they haven't really had nationally televised games. Nothing they're doing offensively is fluky. Now, can they shoot 45% from three all season? It's probably going to go down a little bit, but they have really good shooters. And Kenny Atkinson says he loves their shot quality. It's the process over the result. The process is right instead of they're just going to miss shots.
Where did you say they were in terms of open looks? Third?
In terms of wide open threes, according to NBA tracking data, they're in the top 5.
Okay.
Now, they were mid of the pack last year. They're top 5 this year. The Thunder and, ironically, the Hornets, but they take so many threes. A lot of them are just open based off pure volume. But nothing about how they're doing and scoring offensively or how they're containing teams and corralling primary ball handlers from a defensive side is fluky. But if you're not watching, I can see how the outside perspective based on your preseason expectations make you say, well, maybe they're not that good.
And in my opinion,
watch them play for 2 minutes, they're going to prove you wrong.
And in my opinion, the only guy you could argue is severely overachieving is Ty Jerome.
If you had sold your Evan Mobley stock,
but
then maybe. But Ty Jerome's the only guy out of nowhere.
I think everybody thought this was possible with Evan Mobley.
Yeah, Jerome's the only guy out of nowhere to be playing at the level he is.
I mean, who else? Darius is having a great season, but he's had great seasons before. Mobley, it's his first great season offensively, but most people thought he was capable of this.
Sam Merrill on defense.
That's kind of crazy.
He's taking a step.
Yeah, I mean, but he's, I don't know. I don't think that's crazy. That's effort, right? I mean, ultimately,
a lot of it's effort,
a lot of it's effort.
And a lot of it's having the benefit of Jared Allen and Evan Mobley behind you. So if you do gamble and get a little more aggressive.
We just called Sam Merrill a buttoned-up deli, right?
This is what I don't understand, though.
Yeah.
Help me understand this one, because Sam Merrill's defense improved this year, but JB specialized in playing hard defense.
I can tell you exactly why, Ty.
Go ahead. Tell us why.
And this is a team thing. And Jared Allen said this after who they play on Friday, but the game before Friday. They played the Bulls on Friday. Who was the game before that?
New Orleans?
Hornets?
Sixers.
It was after the Sixers game.
Yeah.
They asked Jared Allen, and I think Fedor asked the question. It was a road game. How much fun are you having playing this year as opposed to previous years?
Right.
And Jared said, in this offense, we all get touches.
Yep.
And when we get touches, we all play harder on defense. The game's more fun. We're all more bought in. We know that if I do what I'm supposed to do, and in Jared's case, that's set screens, be in the right place, I'm going to get the ball, and at the end of the day, every basketball player wants to score, right, Ty? That at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So when you're in an offensive system where everyone's involved, everyone's touching the ball, you're going to play that much harder on defense because we get a stop, we get the ball back, I'm going to get a chance to take a shot. That was always my biggest criticism with Russell Westbrook. Like, you have dudes running around for 22 seconds on the shot clock. You just keep dribbling. Like, that's a very hard player to play with, and that's why he didn't work with so many other good players. Right now, even if it's just an extra 3-4 touches a game for Sam Merrill, I think he's given that little extra effort on defense, and when you're a guy like Sam Merrill who has some physical limitations, sometimes that 3 or 4% increase in effort on the defensive end of the court can lead to some massive results, especially early in the regular season.
Man, I used to hate that, man.
Touch that peel.
Man, it'd be like, look, man, like you got these guards, man, and the guards always, their dad was always the coach. And you'd be like, little Jeremy sucks. And you suck as a coach. You talking about, our big guys aren't blocking out. No, Jeremy is getting took to the rack. And then weak side help is just coming in, and I'm getting boarded all over.
It sounds personal.
No, it's really personal. Shout out to little Jeremy and his dad. You know what I'm saying?
Screw you, Jeremy.
Listen.
You suck, Jeremy.
And then he dribbling.
You were fraud. Jeremy, your whole
What's Jeremy
career,
doing now?
His whole amateur career was fluky.
Super fluky, bro.
Where is he? What's he doing now?
Listen, he never made it, bro. He played. Listen, McNuggets took his minutes. You know, he was, one of them small guards. He was like 6'2", and then he didn't grow no more. And then I was like, bro, you doing all these AAU games, you still 6'2", bro. You small, bro. You're not going nowhere. You might get this NAIA love.
So he was handling the rock, right?
Man, he
might get some Division III action.
If he was one of them kids that grew tall early?
Yeah, he was like 6'2", like.
Oh, well, he should have been. His dad should have been telling him to dribble that rock.
He was 6'2" early. I'm
6'2". Mike's 5'3". I mean,
we had
Muggsy Bogues.
We had two dudes. The dude Jeremy. And a dude named Tree, a.k.a. his name was Tree because he was that tall.
Yeah.
He played for this, in middle school, or elementary school, he played for this team named Allen. So his name was Rodney Donald. And this dude, people used to pull up.
Yeah.
Pull up on this dude. Like in the gym. Like the gym was packed. Like it was non-relatives coming to watch this guy named Tree. Man, I'm like, bro, this dude was grabbing a rebound, taking it coast to coast. He was pinning on people. He could touch the backboard when he was like in 5th grade. They're like, he going to the league. They thought he was LeBron. Man, long story short, the city kind of big. We got a bunch of elementary schools. Fast forward 4 years, we playing JV basketball like when I was a freshman.
Yeah.
I get there, and we looking around. They're like, yeah, there go Tree right there. Tree was like 6'3". I'm looking down at Tree like, this is Tree, and he had to keep the nickname. I said, you're a shrub. You're a shrub. You're a shrub, dog. Like, you don't, like, he was like, never grew an inch.
Was he still playing big man?
Oh, no, he was out the perimeter. Okay. He was one of the big dudes that couldn't shoot, like, or dribble, like, no more. But he was a small guard.
You guys are I don't know. Are you old enough for Muggsy Bogues? Did you see Muggsy Bogues play?
Yeah.
Do you know about Muggsy Bogues?
He was in Space Jam.
Yep.
Dude, like, Mike, as a short basketball player, you should appreciate, like, what Muggsy Bogues did in the NBA.
We had posters of Muggsy Bogues in our dorm room.
How tall was he? 5'6"?
How tall was Spud Webb?
He wasn't 5'3". Yeah, but Spud Webb was a nice player, but he wasn't Muggsy. Muggsy Bogues was an all-star.
How Muggsy Bogues was for you?
Muggsy Bogues was 5'3".
I thought he was 5'7".
How Muggsy Bogues was to y'all
Yeah.
is like how Nate Robinson or Isaiah Thomas was.
Yeah, but Muggsy Bogues was like, he was an all-star, wasn't he?
Nate Robinson dunked over Dwight Howard to win the dunk contest.
So Earl,
somebody need to donate that man a kidney too.
Spud Webb was dunking two-hand, which was ridiculous to me. It just made me feel bad because I couldn't touch the rim when I was younger. Then you had Earl Boykin. Earl Boykins was a small guard.
So I feel like Bogues was the best.
Is it Earl from Cleveland? Earl Boykins?
Is that a fact?
I think didn't he go to East?
How tall was Nate Robinson? He wasn't that short, was he?
He was 5'9".
5'9".
Yeah, that's a big difference.
So
Earl Boykins was 5'5", and he's from Cleveland. Went to Central Catholic.
That's wild. McNuggets, you need to do a top
What was
5.
Muggsy Bogues' best season, Mike? Like, what did he have? Did he average a lot of assists and steals and stuff?
In the 2006 season, Muggsy Bogues averaged 15.2 points per game, 4.3 assists. His career high in assists was 4.5. He did that twice, once in Milwaukee, once in Denver. For his career, 8.9 points, 3.2 assists per game, and shout out to 1.3 rebounds per game despite being 5'5".
Yeah. Muggsy Bogues, 5.
It was a kid that I was on like Ball is Life. His name was Akil Carr, I think his name was.
Filthiest mixtape ever.
Bruh, the best high school highlight tape I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah?
Dude, he like short, but
What happened?
5'3".
He went like D3.
He ended up playing 1 year D1, then transferred D3. He's made a lot of money overseas. He's
the
doing
dude,
really well.
glass and stuff.
Crazy bounce.
Two hands.
Speaking
Boom.
of
Mike, you
crazy,
got Mary Kay?
Yeah, we got Mary Kay. We're going to bring Mary Kay in from the Browns facilities after a quick word from Built Reviews. Listen up, renters. Ever feel like you've been stuck in this loop of rent payments, just watching your money vanish into thin air? Well, it's time to turn that rent game around and start earning some serious rewards, and that's where Built Rewards comes in. Built is breaking ground as a neighborhood rewards program that hooks you up with points on your rent. Every month, pay your rent and watch the Built points roll in. Use points on Jet Dream vacations. Put your points toward a flight or hotel stay with over 500 plus airlines and 700 plus 1,000 hotels and properties. You can also use your points to book fitness studio classes, redeem them towards a future rent payment. They're designed to meet your lifestyle. Pay rent hassle-free through the Built Rewards app. Your rent game just got a major upgrade. Built Points has been consistently ranked the highest value point currency by the Points Guys and bank rates. Earn points by paying rent right now when you join Built.com/LockedOnNFL. That is JoinBuilt.com/LockedOnNFL. Make sure you use our URL so you know we sent you. Join Built.com/LockedOnNFL to start earning points with your rent payments today. And now we have Mary Kay Cabot joining us from Berea, who just finished listening to Kevin Stefanski give his Tuesday media address. What's
Mary
up,
Kay, good to have you with us. Let's start with that. Anything stand out from Kevin Stefanski's press conference today?
Well, he was asked today how he feels about all of the hot seat chatter going on, and he did say that that he's not paying attention to any of that, that he's got to go out and try to win a football game on Thursday night, and he's learned enough in his career and his life not to listen to things like that. So he's not paying any attention to that. I thought that was noteworthy. He did address again the fact that he had Mike Vrabel on the sidelines with him with the headset on. That was his decision, and that was Mike Vrabel's decision as well. So those guys together, they're very good friends. They work well together, and it's all hands on deck right now. They need all the help that they can get to try to pull out of this slump and try to correct things and fix things. So they are relying on Mike Vrabel for some of that. And then Jed Wills, he'll try to practice today, but I don't know if it sounds that great for him to be able to go out and face the Steelers on Thursday night.
Okay, good. Because I was thinking of all hands on deck. I was going to ask about Jed Wills, but it makes me think about the left tackle situation. So I seen that they signed Jerome Christian. Do you think that going into this game, since it's a short week, that they stick with Jermaine Ifedi, who was a former teammate of mine, by the way, or do you think they go with Jerome Christian?
Not really sure how that's going to go yet. Since Jermaine has been here, maybe he's somebody that they will let get that start. But Jerron started games for them last year, 10 games for them last year. So he's someone that has experience doing that. He's a longtime veteran, and maybe they will want to do something like that against the Steelers. We know that they're going to have to deal with T.J. Watt, Cam Hayward, Patrick Queen, and they're going to try to identify a weakness and do anything that they possibly can to try to get to the quarterback. So we'll just have to see there, and they are going to try to keep it a mystery.
Mary Kay, one of the things that you came out and you kind of talked about was JOK. And about a week ago, I was doing Ultimate Browns, and I ran some sound from Jordan Hicks, and the way he was talking about JOK in terms of him coming back and his family, and he has people that care about him outside of football. And then he said something that I caught very slim, and I want to know what you take from it. He says, we're just hoping for a miracle. And I'm like, hoping for, I hope that was hyperbole. But, the Browns have been really quiet about the injury. It looked bad. They did say that he did have some feeling in his leg extremities and moving. But having movement in your limbs does not denote that you're 100% and ready to come back to play football. As a person with a lot of spinal cord injuries and surgeries, I'm always nervous about any time something happens like that. What are your thoughts on JOK? Are you hearing things? What have the Browns been saying? And could this be something that is more of a career-ending type thing than we once thought?
Well, I was the one who asked that question of Jordan Hicks, and the minute he said what he said, which included him saying, if I came home, I don't know what it would have been like if I had to come home like that to my wife and kids. That really stood out to me. And then saying that he's praying for a miraculous recovery, I put a headline on that immediately. I thought it really stood out to me as something that was an important quote from him. So we don't know exactly what's going on with JOK yet. We know this was a serious neck injury, and we know that he has to take his time healing from it. And the truth of the matter is they really don't know where this is going to go yet. Kevin Stefanski told us today he's doing well. That's good to hear. But the truth is that he's going to have to go through a bunch more scans and things like that before he can get back on the field. He's got 2 more games on IR this season, and I don't think he's going to play the rest of this season. And then I think it's going to be a matter of just him and his family and everyone deciding if it is safe for him to get back out there again.
Very scary stuff, Mary Kay. You know, we're always we talk about football and we get worked up about football, but this is life. This is a whole different story. He's a special football player, and we all love watching him play. But you know, guys, you know, we've seen Denzel Ward play with all these concussions. You don't know what he's doing for his life in the future. JOK is obviously a very smart guy. Seems like a very nice guy. I've never met him personally, but by all accounts, he's a really nice guy. And this is scary stuff. I didn't realize until G mentioned it and you had it in your article that this was such a big deal and potentially career-ending. It's really sad if it comes to that, certainly. But it's obviously something you'll be following up on.
Yeah, I mean, I hope we're not overstating that. We really don't know anything yet. No one has said, oh, this could be career ending, so I don't want that to be the overarching takeaway from any of this. I mean, he could be back after this season. I don't think he's going to play again the rest of this season, but I don't know if it's going to be career ending, so I don't want to necessarily have that thought in everyone's mind, because he could be totally fine in a month. And we know that these guys, they're built differently. They're built to come back from these kinds of injuries. They are not the run-of-the-mill human being. They're just not. They come back from things that we never think that they'll come back from, like Nick Chubb has. So I don't think we should rule him out just yet, but I do think that the rest of this season, it would be safest for him not to play.
Mary Kay, this past game, a lot of talk has been about the effort, particularly on the defensive side of the ball. What was your thoughts on that, and was that asked to Kevin, and did he say anything or any comments about the effort of the way the defense finished that game?
Yeah, he thinks that the defense just was out-executed and gave fine effort. He doesn't think that he saw anyone give up, even though there were some situations where it may have looked like that a little bit. And I know Juan Thornhill was somebody that people were pointing to. We have to remember that Juan Thornhill is coming off of a calf injury, and he's out there playing and doing the best he can. But now he's actually platooning with Ronnie Hickman because of the calf in part. And so I just don't think a lack of effort is what you're seeing. I think that they got out-coached in that game. I think they got out-executed in that game, but I think they're still trying hard.
Mary Kay, you know, Jameis Winston, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, almost 400 yards. You know, we had a big conversation right here on UCSS about, you know, where do you go from here? A lot of people are saying that at some point you need to see DTR and what you have in him. But if, you know, how can you really sell that if Jameis Winston consistently is putting up some numbers like that? Is it a tough line to walk with the way they're going to approach the season? Because you got one hand, you want to see a young guy, but on the other hand, veterans want to have the best opportunity to win football games. And I think Jameis obviously gives you that best opportunity.
Well, I think right now they need Jameis's leadership. They need his experience. When you're going up against a veteran team like the Pittsburgh Steelers, you really don't want to throw Dorian Thompson-Robinson out there in that type of situation, especially with uncertainty at left tackle. You've got to move quickly. You've got to get that ball out very quickly. And I think this is a situation where Jameis is the best man for the job. And then from a leadership standpoint, you see him out there giving the pregame speeches and holding everybody together, even on the sideline. So I just think to navigate these troubled waters right now, he's the right man for the job.
Rapid fire, Mary Kay, to finish it up. Your best guess. Will these guys be with the Browns? Yes or no? Best guess as of today. Andrew Berry, next year.
Yes.
Kevin Stefanski.
Yes.
Nick Chubb.
Ooh, that's a tough one. I'm going to say yes, because Nick Chubb is beloved here, and I think the Browns will do everything they can to keep him around.
And finally, Deshaun Watson.
Ooh, I'm going to say yes on that one, too, because in part because of the economics of the situation. I don't think it will be easy to part ways with him next season because we've talked about this before, how it can trigger an enormous cap charge.
Man, that was too easy. Wyatt Teller, Joe Batonio, rapid fire.
I think I'm done with rapid fire.
I gotta go.
We'll see you later.
We gotta go.
We'll see you later. Thanks, Mary Kay. All right, Joe Thomas coming up at 12:40.
12:30. Let me do a read. I'll toss it right back out to you guys. If you want to tackle all the NFL action, you can do so with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5, get $150 in bonus bets if that first $5 bet wins. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, you live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to join today. Never waste a hunch. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
I think it's very important when it comes to the JOK conversation, which Mary Kay, G asked Mary Kay about it. It's important to note that JOK hasn't said that this is potentially career-ending. Right. The Browns haven't said it's potential career-ending.
Right.
This is kind of some reading into it based on what Jordan Hicks' comment was.
Yeah.
He made it seem like a very serious situation. Obviously, as a teammate, especially at the same position, he probably has a decent feel for it.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean his career is over. Mm-hmm. But obviously, as a football player, a neck injury is about as serious as it gets.
Yeah. Oh, look. I had to learn firsthand. Like, when you have neck injuries or back injuries, your life is just, at some parts, different. Like, go look at Greedy Williams. There's times, and I'm not comparing myself and to any guys out there. I just want to try to give you guys a perspective or a little insight to it. There's some days where you don't have feeling in extremities. Like, there's some days, like, even due to your neck, like, I used to tell my mom I had to calm myself down because after I had so many neck surgeries, I felt like I breathed differently. I felt like I didn't have the capacity to breathe. I was breathing a little more shallow, and it used to freak me out. Or it's times where your arm goes numb, and then it's some of the same symptoms of, neck and spinal cord injuries are heart attacks. So it'd be like, so can you imagine walking around throughout the day, and you're like, man, I think I'm having a heart attack. My left arm is my shoulder. I can't breathe correctly. Yeah. And you just learn that that's just that you live with. Now, think about what you got to do to get back to ready to play football. And you got to, as an undersized linebacker, not be afraid to take on 300-pound men and put your face mask in somebody's chest when you're running. It's a crazy thing. And it's not so much the physical stuff. It's the mental things where, Tyvis, I'm looking at him like, am I going to tackle this dude the same? Am I going to play the same way with reckless abandon? It's tough to get that out your head.
Well, that's the way he was, and I think that's the way he'll always be. But it's a couple of things. One, it's a good thing that he signed his extension because if he is done, like, he's at least paid. Yeah. Secondly, I personally haven't, but when I was with the Seahawks, two of my teammates' careers ended because of
Remind us who?
Cliff Averill and Cam Chancellor.
Wow.
So what happened was I can't remember exactly what it was, but it had something to do with like the nerves or something like that. Right. And Cam was the one he really fought it. Like, Cam was like really trying to get back.
So who eventually?
The doctors wouldn't clear him.
Okay.
A doctor wouldn't clear him because you got to think their license is on the line. If I clear him and he goes out there and he becomes a paraplegic, that's on me. So the thing with JOK, if it is nerve damage or if it's that bad, he may not have a choice. Is a doctor going to clear him to go back out there? Is a doctor comfortable enough?
And again, we're just speculating. We don't know.
But I'm not saying that's the case. Yeah. I'm just saying if it is that bad, will a doctor put their license on the line and be like, no, you're fine, you can go out there and play? Right. And that's the question.
Right. And that's the big difference potentially in a situation like Denzel Ward, where ultimately he can play when he's cleared for a concussion. That's up to him. Mm-hmm. But for some players, as you mentioned, you
doctor
don't really think about it. Like, you just might not be allowed to play.
They give you there's like an ECG test basically, and there's all this. They have a big chart, and they have these long prodding needles, right? And what they do is kind of painful. They put these needles in your arm, and they push them or wherever they're at. Whether if it's a back injury, usually you got some sort of loss of feeling in your lower body, like your leg or your thigh or your calf. For my back, I had drop foot, basically, which is, I think that might have had drop foot. He was a Ohio State Buckeyes basketball coach, right? And when you have neck injuries, usually it's usually in your neck down this way, through the front of your chest, the back of your shoulders. So they stick these needles in, and they'll give you a reading about how much you can feel that, right? And basically, it's a baseline level. Like, if your nerves aren't firing under a certain area or over a certain amount, they're just like, nah, you can't do it. It's just like, it ain't nothing about it. You know, so it's just one of them things. And then they tell you, like, things like this. They're like, oh, look, you can never get on a roller coaster anymore. I'm like, I can't get on roller coasters? I hate roller coasters. I should not
Really?
be. Yeah.
You can't get on a roller coaster.
Nah, because there's a part, so not to get too far, there's a herniated disc in my neck that can't be operated on because my spinal cord is wrapped around that.
Okay.
So basically, it's too risky. Like,
Correct.
I could be paralyzed. So they're like, you shouldn't be driving for more than 3 hours at a time. You shouldn't be moving around in roller coasters. So they give you a list of things you should not do, right? He told me I should never lift weights again. Like, never.
And here you are.
And here I go, just moving around, just doing too much. Hey, shout out to my wife. She's so nice. She says, listen, babe, I will carry groceries for you. I said,
That's a funny look. You and your wife, she's a little tiny thing, huge G bush, and she's carrying the groceries. That would be so funny if you're walking in the supermarket. She's got like 6 bags.
It's happened before. She walking in the house with all these bags, and I'm just like, and I got glasses on and jewelry, like,
They're gonna look at you.
Nothing here, nothing to see.
You know how many groceries she's buying. When she had us over for your birthday last year, G, she cooked enough food for 700 people.
Oh my God, that was a lot of
food.
food.
She just like, everything is fine. I'm like, bro, you got me looking crazy. We don't have to go grocery shopping at night so people don't look like I'm just over here just being a jerk. But
wait a minute. Speaking of jerk and speaking of food.
Oh, man, that jerk chicken.
Yeah, we got to get that back.
What's wrong with you, man?
Yeah,
It's
G.
been
Bush
like
didn't have a party
It's
this
been
year.
like
There
a
was no party
year.
this year.
I got it.
Boy, he owed me some jerk chicken.
I got 2 guys. I told McNuggets. Listen, I got a barbecue guy that said, Joe G. Bush, just tell me what time they want to come, and he got the food. He been on Steve Harvey.
Well,
on,
tell him I'm trying to come today. I ain't got to work in Columbus.
No, they want to come in here. They want
to come in here.
So I'm gonna make sure that they come when you here.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, you owe me. It's been like a year.
I'm gonna get you some jerk chicken. We gonna bring you in.
You know I'm half Jamaican. I want my jerk chicken.
By the way, we wish obviously the best for JOK, and we've talked about what it means as a human being, but as a football player, he's one of the very few good young players the Browns have. Let's be fair about it.
That man is so cultured. He is so smart. He the way. I love the fact that he comes in his historical garb.
Yeah.
Like he's a well cultured guy. He's been through a lot. He lost his brother.
Yeah.
He's just like he's really a very solid individual. You just hate to see that kind of stuff.
It's too bad.
It's only been 2 players in the past couple of years that the Browns extended that I said that was a great choice. JOK, Denzel Ward.
Glad it wasn't Dustin Hopkins on that list.
One last thing before we get back to the Cavs, but it was made officially official. We assumed that after the injury happened, but Dewan Jones out for the rest of the season with a fractured ankle. The Browns put him on IR. We've talked about Dewan and his. Jason was on the show and said he was up to like 420 pounds, 415 pounds this summer as he was getting rehab for his knee injury from last season. How much concern do you guys have about Dewan coming back after a significant amount of time where he's not even able to put weight on his ankle?
I think Dewan is one of those players that you have to go into a season not counting on him. And if he's there and he can play, okay. But you can't rely on that guy because he's got a weight problem that's very hard to defeat. I don't know him personally, so I don't know, but most likely he's got an addiction when it comes to food, and it's very hard to overcome. And he's probably going to gain a ton of weight dealing with this injury. I would not be surprised. And he has already in 2 years been hurt like 4 or 5 times. So there's no way that the Browns can go into next season saying, we've got our left tackle, it's all set. You can't do that. There's got to be other options.
What's his recovery process?
I don't know. What's the exact injury? An ankle?
A fractured, see, take that here. But it was done with the season with a fractured ankle.
Yeah, so, I mean, so they're going to have surgery? Is he going to be in a boot for a while?
Boot, crutches, according to universityhospitals.org.
Yeah.
So pretty reputable source.
I'd say
Well,
so.
I'm going to read this directly.
Yeah.
Most ankle fractures take more than 6 weeks to heal. It could be longer if any ligaments or tendons were ripped in the process. Depending on treatment, it takes at minimum 6 weeks, but after that, then it's a slow rehab process to be able to start putting more weight on it.
Sucks.
When you are in a boot, now I don't know how long he's going to be. Have you guys been in a boot?
Yes,
For a long time?
I fractured in high school. I fractured my ankle.
So how long were you in the boot for?
I was in a walking boot for 3 weeks.
Okay. I was in a boot. Now, again, I'm no athlete. I was like around 40 when I tore my Achilles. And I was in a boot for 3 months. And you can't work out that leg when you're in a boot. Your muscles atrophy big time. You don't realize. Like 3 weeks, I don't know if your muscles did in 3 weeks, probably a little bit.
Well, I was in a walking boot like you because
Yeah.
I partially tore my Achilles too.
Yeah.
And you can't even put weight on your toe.
No. And when I finally got the boot off, the difference in my calf muscle from one leg to the other was wild.
Crazy, right?
And I'm not an athlete, so even my rehab, I never really got it back to full strength. It's fine now, but he's a professional athlete. He should be up, but that takes time, no matter who you are, to get that muscle back. And he's got so much weight on his body that it's even harder.
Yeah, Tyvis. When you got that weight on you, I always know when I'm over a certain amount because
Where you currently at?
Man, I'm medium sauce right now. It's like I'm medium enough that I could wear all my smaller clothes, but if I was to just have a bad weekend,
it'd be too much.
all this gear is out of here.
A bologna sandwich away.
San Diego shirt's gone.
You know how it is, bro.
Oh my God! I got like 7 different sets of shirts I can wear.
The sad thing is, I just had to go. For the first time in my life,
Yeah.
I've been wearing a 34 since I was in the 6th grade. For the first time in my life, I had to go buy some 36 Gs because my 34s didn't fit.
You see,
and I cried a little bit.
They're serious.
Like, I can't believe this.
What you finding out is metabolism works for men as well. We give women a lot of grief for my metabolism stopped. Like, guys, here's all the dudes with abs. See, like, I've had to control this my whole life. See, guys with abs, they eat double cheeseburgers and candy and pop, and they walk around with their shirt off, and we like, how you getting that off? When they get to our age, we used to it.
Yeah, right.
We know how to mask our stuff. Y'all ain't used to wearing big sweaters. Y'all wearing big sweaters now. We wear the same hoodie. But no, like, when you get big like that, your frame takes on so much added pressure, and now it's the thing where you never quite get the mobility back in the bend and that ankle, and then you compound that with another injury to another body part. So now you got limited mobility because of the ankle. Then you put the knee on.
Yeah.
What they're gonna have to do with him is this, and we talked to Joe Thomas. What they're gonna have to do with him is he's gonna have to come back to a point where they're gonna have to remake what his thought process is of where he plays.
Yeah.
He needs to be playing 325. And I know that's a lot of weight
That
to get rid
is
of.
a lot of weight. What's wrong with you?
But that is going to save his career.
You're right.
Because
most likely.
at 325,
Where is he? What did you say, Jason?
He was 420 in the beginning of the
Jason
year.
said 415. I
And
believe.
now, and you say he got down to 375?
He was playing at 380.
And you noticed it. Like, you noticed, I'm sure.
And you want him to get to 320?
Yes.
And that's going to be hard. That's
gonna be
very
hard.
hard.
He's got to cut off a leg to do that.
No, he what he got to do is cut
he
off
can
some
do it,
habits.
but it's going to be hard.
This
He
is
gotta cut
how
some
this,
habits.
that's
But he has the advantage, unlike most of us that are fat, that's his job.
He has dietitian.
He could spend his whole day working out, essentially.
Oh, he has a dietitian.
Yeah.
He can monitor what he eats.
This is how I look at it.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a simple thing. It depends on when Dewan Jones' mindset.
That's right.
Coming
That's
into
it.
this, okay. And I'm gonna ask Joe Thomas about this when he comes.
Yeah, well, this will be good questions for Joe. Yeah.
He got 2-3 games of film at left tackle, and he looked solid.
Yeah.
So right now, in the Browns' heads, they thinking, worst case scenario, Dewan can play left tackle. This will be year 3, which means negotiations start. Year 3, because he was a 4th round pick. 4 years is his contract, so 3 years. He go out here and he dropped the weight, like you say. He rehab and he come back in the best condition, in the best shape of his life, and ball out for
He'll
next
get
year.
paid huge.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
Deshaun's coming off the books, and the year. And he got 2 years left.
Yeah.
He got next year and the year after that.
That's right.
So he gonna negotiate his contract. It won't kick in until Deshaun's off the books, so he really can hit it.
The next 6 months.
If you're listening, Dewan,
I'm just saying.
next
as
6
a
months.
Listen to the OG.
man.
The next 6
You got
months
one chance to do this.
are going to determine whether Dewan Jones is potentially a 10, 12-year superstar potentially. Like, he has that potential.
Yeah, he do.
Or he's out of the league in a couple of years.
And when you start, and a lot of people don't start taking care of it. I wish I would have learned this. Like, after I had the first injury, I just wish I would have been like, oh no, I gotta stop all that. Like, I gotta be in there all the time. Like, but you thought you could roll out of bed and just keep getting, and then you realize, oh no, that God-given ability that you thought you had, there's people out there with that's not hurt.
That's right.
But he can hire like a chef and all that.
He can hire anything.
Like
Yeah.
he literally gotta really take it serious.
Serious.
Like he gotta understand that the importance of this year and next year. Like
He
I
can't
got
be eating Taco Bell breakfast with you and me.
I got one chance to like really just.
That's right. This is it.
Because you only,
To tackle rough mornings after drinking, here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to make Z-Biotics your first drink of the night. Drink responsibly, and you'll feel your best tomorrow. Here's how it works. Step 1, drink pre-alcohol. Step 2, drink responsibly. And Step 3, enjoy your tomorrow. Go to zbiotics.com/LockedOnNFL to learn more and get 15% off your first order when you use promo code LockedOnNFL at checkout. ZBiotics is backed with 100% money-back guarantee, so if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/LockedOnNFL and use promo code LockedOnNFL at checkout for 15% off.
Jets just fired their GM, by the way.
I saw that. Guys, I want to get 2 Cavs things in before Joe Thomas joins us. Let's first draft the 5 players you'd want for tonight's game.
Let's go.
Floor is yours.
Donovan Mitchell.
I'm taking Donovan number 1.
I
We know,
would too.
listen, Jason Tatum is the best player between the two teams. But right now, we're drafting right now.
Can you really
I'm going with our guy.
Are you really sold on that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I am too.
All the diehard basketball guys that know the game better than me say Jason Tatum is better. So I'm going to go with them.
Yeah,
but right now, in this moment in time, I'm going with our guy.
So if we agree in one order, it's Tatum and Mitchell, 1, 2,
Yes.
2, 1,
Yes.
however you want.
Yes.
Okay, so that's 1, 2 in any order you want to go. Number 3.
Number 3, guys. So we got who's in competition for 3? Darius,
Darius,
Mobley,
Jalen,
and
and
Jalen
Mobley.
Brown.
Yeah.
Jalen Brown is getting that.
Got to go
And-
Jalen.
and
Although
gotta go-
Darius is playing so
He's
well
playing
right now.
Got to go Jalen Brown. Now listen, we might have a different schedule and matchup the next time they play.
Yeah.
If they come out and do their thing. But right now I got to go Jalen Brown. I'm just being real.
I'm voting for Evan Mobley.
I'm about to say I might take Evan, to
At
be
3?
honest with you.
I'm taking Evan.
I think I might take Evan.
We vote for Mobley. Who are you voting for?
So Jason and I did this last night.
Yeah.
We had Tatum 1, Mitchell 2. He had Brown 3. I went with Garland 3.
Yeah, I mean, you can make a case for all of them, but we outvoted you.
Yes, Mobley. Nope, Mobley gets it.
Mobley gets the
So
3
who is
spot.
your 4 then? If you guys went Mobley 3,
I go Brown 4.
and then Garland 5, both to finish out your top 5. then?
That's me. Yeah.
That's me too.
I'm switching the Mobley. I'm switching Garland and Brown because I'm a DG fan. So
So perfect.
Yeah.
Now Jason and I, we had the same 5, by the way.
Yeah.
You guys and myself and Jason last night.
Who else are you going to put in that?
We
top
extended this to 8
five? Okay.
because there's a point I want to make.
Jared
We go
Allen.
deeper.
I'm going with Derek White
No, Derek White is definitely the answer.
at 6.
Okay. Bull. Waiting on Bull. Derek White, Drew Holiday,
I'm just
Jared
looking
Allen.
at Derek White's stats a little bit because I haven't seen the Celtics play that much. Yeah, Derek White 6. And then 7, Jared Allen, right?
Or Drew Holiday. Those are the
Drew
two.
Holiday and Jared Allen is kind of close. They both role players. Both don't need the ball. Both can, both ain't really a number 1, 2, or 3 option. Drew Holiday did make the All-Star team.
Drew Holiday's averaging 13 points, 4 boards, 4 assists.
He's essentially the glue guy as a point guard as
Yeah.
to what Jared Allen is as a center.
I'm going Jared Allen.
That's the 7.
7. Yeah.
And then Drew Holiday 8.
I'll take that.
I wouldn't mind. I'll do
take
that.
Allen 7, Drew Holiday 8. Who's 9?
Ty
Ty
Jerome.
Jerome.
Ty Jerome or Pritchard?
Ty
Ty
Jerome.
Jerome.
So, and there's my point. When you go 10 deep, you had 5 Cavs, you had 5 Celtics. I
Yeah.
think there's 2 other teams, the Cavs being one of the 2, that when you stack rosters side by side, you can feel pretty damn good about how your roster stacks up talent for talent
Yeah.
against the Celtics. The Oklahoma City Thunder would be the other team.
Can you imagine we'd have before the season if I would have said Ty Jerome was going to be in the top 10 players between the Cavs and Celtics?
We always we always say this, right? And here's how I know, which makes me happy inside. It tickles me. Is we always talk about guys who come out of nowhere, and you're like, where'd that guy come out of nowhere for this said team?
Yeah.
You're like, that guy, all of a sudden, he's like Derek White is a guy. Where'd he come from? Usually it's other teams who get that off.
Yeah.
For once, we got a guy who's like, oh, we got a dude that no one really heard of before now, except for serious basketball people. And now we got a guy that we've kind of looked around and said we've developed into this nice role guy. And those are the people that really get you over the hump.
It's kind of 3 guys. I mean, this year it's Ty Jerome, but Dean Wade and Sam Merrill are really those type of guys too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
You know, especially when you look at it, the way the Boston Celtics, they got over the hump is when they looked at, remember they had Marcus Smart?
You sure?
Defensive Player of the Year, was part of their core.
Yeah.
What's the Williams kid?
Grant Williams?
You had Grant Williams, and then they had Grant Williams and Robert Williams.
Robert Williams.
Right, the big guy.
So-
What happened to him?
He's in Portland right now.
They got
Had
rid
a
of
great game today.
They swapped them dudes out and
Right.
got Drew Holiday.
Yeah.
They got Derek White and Pritchard.
Yeah. Doesn't
was Derek
doesn't
White
Robert
at
Williams
before?
have a really good nickname?
the Time Lord.
That's an awesome nickname.
Dang.
That is badass.
Where was Derek Williams at before? I mean, Derek White at before?
San Antonio. Drafted by the Spurs.
See, they swapped
Grant
him.
Williams was playing for Charlotte.
Yeah.
Charlotte, yep.
I didn't even know he was in the league anymore.
You know what, the Celtics had so many iterations. They had Scary Terry Rozier at one point in time playing for them. They had a lot of dudes like.
They have talent.
Yeah, they keep rotating these dudes
Less
in and
than
out.
less than 7 hours till first tip.
First tip, just regular tip. There's only one tip.
There's only one tip, guys. Only one. That's not true. There could be a jump ball and then there's another
I
tip.
guess technically there can be. But yeah, when you look at the Cavs roster, I know Porzingis isn't available tonight, and when he's back, that changes the geometry of the 10. But right now, I feel really confident saying of the 10 players in tonight's game, 5 are going to sit on the Cavs bench, 5 are on the Celtics bench.
Yeah.
And it's going to come down to who makes more shots.
I just hope Okoro and LeVert can play.
LeVert's the key one. I think they need.
LeVert's the key one, yes.
But
especially
you hope,
on offense.
You hope both. Guys, we were going to do this yesterday, didn't have time.
Yeah.
And I want to ask this question today, and we could keep asking it in the future, but when I asked it last week, you guys all laughed.
I scoffed
me.
at you.
You guys both literally
I
scoffed.
thought you were outraged. This was not last week. This was like 2 weeks ago.
No, it was last Monday when they were 11-0. When
Okay.
we were looking at can they get to 15-0. But I asked,
It was
what are the chances the Cavs can break their own single-season wins record? And are you willing to entertain the idea of potentially breaking the Warriors' 73
The Warriors record was the
regular
one
season
I
win
thought you were
record?
crazy for asking.
And now at 15-0, Bull, do you still think it's an absolutely absurd question? Or are you willing to at least entertain the idea that it's possible?
I'm willing to entertain the question now. Now, I don't think they're going to break the Warriors record.
We had
But-
15 and it's 24, so they have to win 9 more games to tie it.
No. The season wins record.
I'm not entertaining. I'm not entertaining.
I'm willing. I think the question is not crazy to ask when a team is 15-0.
Not entertaining.
But I'm still not. They're not. I just can't imagine another team winning that many games.
So so that year with the Warriors, we know they started 24-0, but to beat a record like that or even be close, you got to have multiple streaks of we went 24-1, but then we ran off 16 in a row after that.
Right.
What are the other long streaks that they had during that season besides the 24? Like they got to run.
They must have had a bunch of winning streaks. But here's the thing, guys.
Like over double digits.
We're all having fun right now, and this team is really good, and we'll find out how good they are. But this team is not talented like that Warriors team. And this team is not talented like that Bulls team. It's certainly very talented. But come on.
Well,
that Warriors team had 2 of the 25 best players of all time, 30.
Okay, so here's the thing.
2 of the top 20.
Of all time?
I think Durant's top 20, yeah.
Durant top 20? Okay, so 2 top 20.
So
the Bulls had the second greatest player in the history of the sport. The Cavs have a really good team. But is Donovan Mitchell not even a top 100 player of all time, is he?
No. I mean, he's...
Of all time?
Yeah, I don't think so.
I don't think he's
Probably
ever
not.
been top 10 in the league at any point in
Right,
his career.
so I love this team. I'm not knocking them in any way, but they don't have the talent of those teams.
Well,
so there's no...
So let me
Real quick, they'd have to go... they have to go 58-9 over the rest of the season.
Yeah, I mean, come on. We got to be realistic.
So let me give you this. So that Warriors team, and they had won the championship prior to that, right? They beat the Cavs in 2014, right?
Mm-hmm.
In 2013, the Warriors weren't considered one of the most talented teams of all time.
Right, but when they broke this record, they added Durant.
No. The Durant broken record, that was with just the regular Warriors with Draymond, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, that was
Sorry.
with the regular.
That's right.
That
They
was
did not have-
15-16 was pre-Durant.
That was pre.
That's true. It was pre-Durant.
So
You're
when
right.
you go back you go back 2 years.
Yeah.
No one would have considered them at that point. Steph Curry wouldn't even have been considered a top.
That's fair, but they didn't. But you thought by the time they broke the record, Steph Curry was him.
Yeah, right. So maybe I don't know. Maybe you just catching the Cavs when people turn into him.
That's fair.
I
I think the more reasonable question is, could they break the Cavs franchise record?
Which is 66 wins. By
I
the way.
think that's possible. That's
tough.
super tough.
That's tough because I remember watching those games and those games were blowouts. When that 66 win 08-09.
What's the Cavs' second best win total ever?
They won 60. I think one games when LeBron was here.
61?
62.
Something like that.
I'm pulling it up real quick. Hold on.
All
To get to 67 though, they have to go 51-16 the rest of the season, which certainly feels doable.
Yeah.
I will entertain that one. The Warriors, I'm not even going to comment.
Percentage chance the Cavs win 60 games.
They also, real quick, just to answer your question, G was right. In 09-10, they won 61 games. So the following year, they went from 66 to 61.
Right.
Only 2 times in franchise history they've won over 60.
And they didn't have nobody.
If you had to bet
Where were
right
we at?
now,
Where were we at last year? How many did we win?
50,
40-something?
49.
Last year
No.
was 51.
51.
Oh, 51. Not
Oh, yeah, they'll get 60.
I thought we had. What about the year before that?
No, last year was 48. Sorry, 2 years ago was 51.
I was right in the 40s.
Yeah, 48
2 years ago,
last year.
51.
Correct.
Did they get 60? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Yes.
Because you got to think about it. They won how many at one stretch? Weren't they 24-2 or something?
Yeah.
Last year they went 18-2 during the
Right.
stretch.
So low key, JB should be salty. Low key, he's telling you this was always here. I gave you 18-2. All we needed is a little time to mature.
Didn't that 18-2 feel fluky to us, though?
Yes,
a little bit.
Super.
Well, it was
It was
fluky because
without
guys were
DG.
getting hurt. DG missed part of it. He
Yeah.
came back. Evan missed part of it. He came back. And it almost felt like during that stretch, you're like, have they lucked into something? They were playing faster, which, by
Right.
the way, Kenny Atkinson is now brought back, and we've seen some more success. And as soon as the guys got back to healthy,
Yeah.
he pulled back the reins, and they started playing the same style of basketball they had played previously.
You know what's funny is, in my mind, I'm saying I think the Cavs are going to finish 62-20. And if they finish 62-20, that's an amazing season. And yet, I say, at the same vein, I'm like, are they really going to lose 20 games? I can't see this team losing 20
because
games.
you haven't seen them lose one,
Right.
And if you get, See. Okay, here's the thing. Do you think that they get some sort of? You know how you watch teams and you be like, listen, it's just their year for some reason. I don't know why they're this good, but if you start getting close to 20, I just feel like
anything's possible.
Anything
right?
is possible at that point. Maybe they just decide, especially if 2 or 3 people decide that I'm just good, like the Browns defense.
Yeah. I guess the question is, when they finally lose, do they go through a stretch of a couple of weeks where they're kind of mediocre?
Or 5-4?
Yeah, right. Like when they're just kind of mid for a few weeks. That or do they immediately bounce back and rip off 9 of 10 after that? That's going to be the telling thing.
Yeah, that'll be the telltale sign.
See, but I don't know. I think we all think they're going to win 60.
60.
I think they got a shot to beat their franchise record. I think that's possible.
And by the way, little injury update for tonight's game.
Is it good news or bad?
Good. All
right.
3 questionable players, Levert, Merrill, Okoro, participated in full at shoot-around, which is usually a
very
good indication that means they'll play tonight
All
against
right,
the Celtics.
that's good. I like that. I know we're not getting Dean Wade, but if it's just Wade not playing, to me it's almost non-factor.
All hands on deck. Donovan Mitchell went in the locker room talking about, now y'all playing.
He pulled a Jordan. He said, get off that. Get off that.
You playing today.
Get off that table. Let's go. Time to play ball. Let's go. We got
I see Joe logging in here. I'm going to talk to him to make sure he gets the right camera setting. So
I got you.
And Earl Thomas would do something like that.
Dude, I almost feel like we should do.
Earl was quiet.
I almost feel like we should all get together and watch this game tonight.
That would be kind of.
Yeah, Tyvis has got to schlep home to the middle of nowhere, wherever the hell he lives.
Yeah, imaginary.
In the sticks.
What kind of stuff is that?
With all the Amish.
You still be going to Worcester?
we're doing a live post-game show tonight after the Celtics game.
Who's
so
on it?
Oh, man.
Me and whoever else wants to hop in. So, Bull, if you want to hop in after, you can hop in. We have our next guest ready. We're going to bring in Joe Thomas after a quick word from Built Rewards. We've all been there before, feeling like we are burning cash with those rent checks. It can be frustrating, but here's the deal. Built Rewards has figured out a way to make rent more rewarding. Say goodbye to the money bonfire and hello to a renter's revolution with Built. Built is breaking ground as a neighborhood rewards program that hooks you up with points on your rent. Every month, pay your rent and watch the Built points roll in. Use points to jet off on a dream vacation. Put your points towards a flight or hotel stay with over 500 airlines and 700,000 hotels and properties. You can also use your points to book fitness studio classes, redeem them toward a future rent payment. They are designed to meet your lifestyle. Pay rent hassle-free through the Built Rewards app. Your rent game just got a major upgrade. Built Points has been consistently ranked as the highest value point currency by the Points Guys and Bank Rates. Join today and start earning points by paying rent by going to joinbuilt.com/LockedOnNFL. That is joinbilt.com/LockedOnNFL. Make sure to use our URL so they know we sent you. Joinbuilt.com/LockedOnNFL to start earning points with your rent payments today.
What do you think weighs more? Joe Thomas right now or Dewan Jones just from the waist up? Joe, do you have an answer for that one?
Dewan from the waist up is about 255, so I'll let you guys decide the over or the under.
I mean,
I'm just setting the line.
Right.
I'm going to say that you are under 255.
I weighed myself this morning, and I was just a couple pounds under. So you're right, exactly. I'm like 254 right now. So
254
we got a winner.
Damn, that's a lethal weight,
The
man.
crazy thing is, we only 7 pounds off from each other.
Jeez, well, he's a lot taller than you, Tyvis.
It's sad, yeah.
You better ask him
Tyvis
what
is looking
doing.
good, though.
The intermittent fast is
lot
still
of muscle.
working for you?
Yeah, I try to do that, especially when I'm home. Now that I'm back from Germany, put on some beer and schnitzel pounds when I was over there. But now that I'm on a regular routine, I like to get into the intermittent fasting and try to be on a 3-day-a-week regular exercise program.
Joe, how was that experience in Germany?
Oh my gosh, it was amazing. It was easily one of the top 5 experiences I've had in my entire life. That includes being drafted, getting married, having kids. Just being able to live abroad, taking the family over there, letting the kids experience different cultures and the travel that we were able to do. And I think it really brought our family together because we were just living in a smaller 3-bedroom apartment downtown Munich. And the kids, they had friends, but it wasn't like it is when you're back home. When as soon as they get home, the first thing they want to do is run out the door and run down the street and hang out with their friends. Like we spent so much time and made so many memories as a family because, hey, they don't have any other options. Got to hang out with mom and dad now.
And did you get recognized a lot there, or did people not know football well enough?
Yeah, I mean, they love football and they know it. And if I look like Patrick Mahomes, they might think, hey, you're Patrick Mahomes. Or Travis Kelce obviously is an enormous star over there because everybody loves Taylor Swift. She actually came and did a concert in Munich when I was there. And so they know what the big guys look like the big celebrity stars in the NFL. Sure. And they love the NFL, but I don't think they know it as well as obviously we do in the States. And I think I got recognized maybe 3 or 4 times on the street, and they were all Browns fans, and they were all people that had lived in the States and that came over and now are living in Germany.
Yeah.
Man, you ain't missed nothing, Joe. You ain't missed nothing, man. So we got so much to ask you. I'll start with the easy questions. Like, we've been trying to figure out how much we miss Bill Callahan, and sometimes when people don't really necessarily know about offensive line play or study it necessarily. When you look at just missing Bill Callahan, from an X's and O's standpoint, do you miss him more in terms of the way he draws up certain things for you to block, like runs or passes, or is it more of just his coaching style where he's on you 24/7, he's a taskmaster? What do you miss the most? What's the most important feature?
Yeah, I think it's just the day-to-day process and the way he's on guys, the way he's teaching fundamentals, and the way he drills guys and develops players. Because I think that was maybe the biggest thing you lost. He was a voice that they'd been hearing for several years in a row, so they understand his coaching cues when he says, hey, footwork, or he says like inside leg. Like, exactly what he's trying to tell you. And so they're trying to take all the little cues and things that they learned from Bill, and then now you're translating it to a different language coming from Andy Dickerson. And so I think there's a natural process of, hey, it's going to take a little bit of time, where the way that Andy teaches it and the way that he coaches it and tries to cue different things, it takes time to learn that. But also I think you're learning his way of doing things, his technique that he's trying to teach. And this season they've had 7 different offensive line combos, which is not good for any offensive line, but especially when you're trying to learn a new coach, you're not exactly sure on every little thing, how he wants it done. Whereas you're going from Bill, who'd been around for a while, obviously one of the great offensive line coaches in the NFL. And so from the first 5 starters to the guys who are the backups, they all knew what the expectations were. They all knew exactly what they needed to do. So even though we did deal with several injuries last season down the stretch, and throughout Bill's reign as the offensive line coach, like the backups were able to get in there and they had enough reps with Bill in that scheme, understanding his coaching, that the drop-off wasn't all that significant. But when you do face a bunch of injuries like they have this season, and you pile that on top of, you've got a new offensive line coach with new terminology, new expectations, new way of teaching things, new way of trying to get the technique done for certain blocking combinations, it's a lot to handle, and you could see that the offensive line has struggled because of it.
Joe, let me ask you about Dewan Jones. Now, he just went down with an injury that's going to end his season, but he's been the experiment at left tackle, and he has 3 games on his resume at left tackle. Do you think that that's something that they can take with them in the next season to where they don't have to necessarily go address that position in a big way? Or do you think that they still need to go and maybe use one of those top draft picks or look in the free agency at a top guy for the left tackle position from what you've seen, if you've seen Dewan Jones these past 3 weeks?
Well, I thought Dewan played really well as a left tackle. I thought when he was in there at right tackle, he played really well. So I think he's earned the role as a starting tackle for the Cleveland Browns. And you hope that he'll be able to come back 100% from the broken leg that he had last weekend. And I think if he does that, he's your starter at left tackle. And I think he's shown enough. And the injury that he has, I don't think there's anybody saying that they don't think he'll be able to get back to full health and maybe even have some time in the spring during mini camps to be able to prove that he's their guy and that he's solidified that spot. And so I don't think that they need to look at drafting a tackle high. I think they've got enough other needs, unless somebody just falls into your lap and then you say, okay, there's 5 positions. They're not the same, but they are a little bit interchangeable, and so you can kind of move guys around a little bit depending on what you want to do to try to get the best 5 guys on the field. But I definitely think as long as Jack's coming back and he's healthy and Dewan's coming back and he's healthy, I think those are your starters for next season.
Joe, as someone personally who has obviously struggled with weight loss, my weight has been up and down my whole life. I mean, you were always, it seemed like, in great shape for an offensive lineman, but there are a lot of offensive linemen that are extremely heavy, maybe too heavy. Certainly, at the beginning of this year, originally the Browns were saying, oh, he's 360, 370. Listen, I know when somebody's 360, there was no way he was that. And then it came out like a couple of months later that he had been 420 at the beginning of the season. He can't play. Can he? G talked about him getting down to 325. I don't know if he can get down that low, but he's not going to be right. Okay, fine. But there you go. That's your answer. That's your answer, Joe. But Joe, in the same vein, he can't play at 400, can he?
No, and I think when you saw him at the beginning of the season when he first was in there, like he struggled a little bit, right? And I think that was just a conditioning thing. When you're that big, I mean, he's just a huge man. At 350, he's going to look like I looked at 290, right? That's just because he's huge. I mean, he's taller than me, and he's just big boned, right? He's just a big human being. We had a guy at Wisconsin before I got there, Aaron Gibson. And,
I remember him.
He was a big man. I think he was the first NFL player to actually weigh in over 400, and that was, his legit weight. But it's hard to be in any type of shape at that weight. Even though you could maybe move around and do good things for 10, 12 plays, I mean, you got to be ready to go 70, 75, 80 plays as an offensive lineman, and it's really not possible to do that. And, our offensive line coach and who coached Gibby in college used to laugh. He's like, Gibby would lose 15 pounds in a practice easy, like it was nothing, go from 405 to 390. He was like, it was meaningless for him. It's like throwing a deck chair off the Titanic. And so for a guy like Dewan, I think for health, one, and for conditioning and being able to play a whole game, he's way better at that 360 range, which I look at him a little bit like Jonathan Ogden. Jonathan Ogden played about 360, somewhere in there, 340, 360, because he was about 6'9". And I think that's probably the weight that Dewan wants to be at. And that's one of the things he's going to really have to focus on and be conscious of as he goes through this rehab with the leg, because when you got a broken leg, you're off it for 6 weeks. And he just wants to make sure that he's disciplined and doesn't just let things go sideways with the weight, because it's pretty easy to gain weight for a guy like that when you're exercising in training camp. I mean, over 400. Can you imagine what it's like if you're immobile for 6 weeks and then you got to fight that to get back in addition to fighting the broken leg and the rehab that goes with that. So I think that is really probably a bigger risk than for him actually than even coming back from that broken leg, is just making sure that you don't let your weight get too heavy, because it's impossible to play at that weight consistently and to stay injury free.
We were all obviously amazed by your streak of consecutive plays. But I think it stands out even more now with all the injuries and all the games and plays missed by the Browns in recent years. It's stunning. And in that same vein, it seems like, and this, I don't know that this is actually true, but it seems like there's more injuries than ever on the offensive line. And I feel like, you tell me if you think I'm wrong, I feel like offensive line play has severely declined in the last few years. I don't know if it's because the D linemen have become such freaks athletically. I don't know if that's it. Do you buy that? And if so, why is it happening?
Yeah, I don't think it's just one thing. I think it's a lot of things, including what you mentioned, right? You see what the defensive linemen are doing all offseason now, working with judo, karate masters, and they're all working hands. And there's such an emphasis and priority on getting sacks, right? Because that's how they get paid. That's how they make a name for themselves. And so typically guys that you put on the edge, you realize, hey, your game changers are the guys that can get sacks when the game's on the line, like Myles Garrett, TJ Watt. Those are the guys that everybody knows. They're the guys that impact the game the most on the defensive side of the ball. So there's a huge emphasis on being able to be a great pass rusher. Obviously, it's a much more of a passing league as well. And in general, those dudes are better athletes than we are. And so generally speaking, the more times you give them an opportunity to rush the passer, the harder it's going to be and the more times you're going to give up sacks. But I think some of it too goes to the development of offensive linemen. You're not seeing quite as much development, I think, at the college level because it is a much more wide open game. You get more of the spread air raid types where offensive linemen aren't being asked to do a whole lot, and so they're not getting taught a wide variety of techniques. And then I think too at the NFL game, it is a little bit more of basketball on grass than it used to be. And so you're getting more players all over the field, and that causes more injuries because it's not as consistent understanding. There's not the awareness of where everybody is and where the potential issues are going to be coming from. So I think when you kind of put all those factors together, you have seen a little bit of a dip in offensive line play and probably some more injuries along the offensive line. I think, my generation, early 2000s and before that, it was much more like 21 personnel, right? A fullback, a running back, a tight end, 2 tight ends. And it was a little bit more of that beehive football where you're all in the box, you see each other, you're running into each other. And I think we probably took more wear and tear and things that you could play through, the little MCLs, little cartilage damage, meniscus tears, things like that. But you can play through those, right? And those are more like the blunt force injuries of just beating on each other in close range. And now since the game's wide open, you're not maybe getting as much wear and tear, especially because you're not getting with two-a-days and as much hitting during practice or training camp. But you are getting a little bit more of those catastrophic acute injuries like we saw with Dewan, where guys are all over the place. And so somebody loses their balance and all of a sudden people are falling on your legs where you didn't really expect it.
See, now, that was good, man. I like the way you explained that, Joe, but we got to get to the nitty-gritty. You know what was coming. You knew it was coming. They set this thing up. Now, we talked about Dewan Jones. Let's transition to another left tackle. Guy, Jed Wills, took over for you. I don't know if you could call that taking over, but he filled that position at left tackle. And Jed has had some issues. There's the memes of, I know you probably seeing where 2 guys are coming, he turns around and looks around, doesn't know who to necessarily block. I shouldn't ask 2 questions at once, but I believe you're a professional, so you'll be able to answer both of these questions.
Better write this down.
So, get this down. How does that happen, right? Where you don't know who to block, and then 2. Explain the decision, the business decision comment, right? Because a guy like yourself, you just explained that you guys had combat in a phone booth. Like you guys were violent. It was 21 personnel smashing heads and doing whatever. Jed came out with the business decision comment and all hell broke loose. Do you think he misspoke? Or do you think that was just something that he meant that he probably wants back?
Let me go to your first question, which I already forgot.
When you blocking, 2 guys come through and you just turned their blind nobody. How does that go? How does that happen?
Yeah, so it was really cool and fun for me to be in Germany in a coaching role, right? Because I was the head offensive line coach, I was the run game coordinator, and that was my first time really with the coaching hat on full time. Towards the end of my career with the Browns, I did a lot of coaching, but it was just more individual, like, hey, this is what you should do, this is my process, stuff like that. But wearing the hat of coaching all 5 positions and all 11 guys on our team was cool because I got to see the different personalities, right? And we had one guy who was our right guard, Dominic Dio. We call him the Butcher of Bavaria because he was mean, man. Every game, he was getting a 15-yard penalty and smashing guys' heads into the dirt, waiting until he got up and spearing them. And every game, I would have a conversation after he got a penalty. I was like, Dio, what is going on? Like, what did you do? And he would always say, without failing, come to the sideline, he'd look at me and go, Joe, I didn't do anything. And I'm like, what? And the first time I believed him. And then we watched the film, and of course, the ball's like 30 yards down the field. His guy's on his back, getting up off the ground, and he spears him right in the back. And I'm like, you didn't do anything. It was on tape. Everybody saw it. How do you say you didn't do anything? So I stopped listening to him. But that was his personality, right? If he didn't know what to do, he was going to hit somebody. If he wasn't sure, he was just going to go as hard as he could. And he was not afraid of messing up. And then we had a left tackle, Garrett Brandt, one of the best. I think he was the best left tackle in the league. But early on, I realized that he was such a smart guy that if he wasn't exactly sure on what to do, he was afraid of making a mistake. And so sometimes he would just freeze. It was like the deer in the headlights thing. And I had to coach it out of him and work with him and say, like, look, if you're not exactly sure, first of all, that's my fault as a coach for not explaining to you like every situation that you're going to be in, so you know exactly what to do. So you're never left with a situation where you're wondering, should I do this or that, right? So that's the first thing. But I said the second thing is, the worst thing you can do on a field is stop. If I ever see you stop, I'm going to lose my shit, because I'm not a guy that like was yelling at my players, because I think I can teach much better and effectively if I'm talking to them. And they were great because they listened pretty well, because they weren't getting paid anything. And so they wanted to be there. Right. So that was great. But so getting through to him and letting him understand that, like, look, if something's not clear, just block one of them. And I think with Jed, if he's got the personality that if ever it's not entirely clear on what he's supposed to do, the technique he's supposed to use, or who he's supposed to block, he will just stop. And that's not a good trait. And that's something that I'm sure Bill Callahan worked with him, and he struggled with it. He was not able to cure those ails when Bill Callahan was the coach. And then he struggled with it again this season. And I think some of it has to do with a lack of focus, but I think that's just also his personality. It's like, hey, if I'm not exactly sure what I'm expected to do in this situation, like sometimes I'm just going to do nothing, which that's obviously a huge problem. And then when you give the what happened, that makes it twice as bad, because now everyone knows like you clearly didn't know what you were supposed to do. And so I think after seeing Bill Callahan and having the results we had with Jed, and then now seeing Andy Dickerson and seeing similar results as far as a handful of plays every game where he's just not blocking somebody or not sure of exactly what he's supposed to do, and then he does nothing, I think then that points to the player just not having that locked in focus that you have to have as an offensive lineman on every single play. You have to have that anxiety, because every play that I go out there as a left tackle, like I'm protecting either my running back or my quarterback, sometimes both. And their jobs and their livelihood is on the line every time the ball is snapped. And so you have to take that heightened sense of nervousness, anxiety every time you walk the line of scrimmage. And I don't see that from Jed. And it's affected his play, because when you watch him technically, like he's quick, he's athletic, technically very, very sound. But then there's just these huge lapses that he's never been able to work out of his game. And I think that's what we've seen over and over again. And of course, I forgot the second question now.
Business decision.
Oh, yeah.
The business decision, yes. So I talked about it a little bit on Cleveland Browns Daily with Z and Bo. And I before Kevin Stefanski said anything, I said, all right, I'm going to take the players and the team side real quick and say, I don't think he understood what he was saying when he said I made a business decision, because I think anybody that understands that would never say it. Even if they were making a business decision, you'd never say it. It's like the worst thing that you can say, because it's like a big middle finger to all your teammates. Like, I don't really care about you guys at all. I don't care about the trust that we have. Like, I'm going to take care of me and then screw you guys. Right. And so I was blown away that he said that. And so first thing I said is, I don't think he understood what he was saying. And second thing, which is sort of my perspective, is I do think it was a Freudian slip where he didn't understand what he was saying, but he understood what it was meaning, as far as, hey, I was making a decision for my future, and I didn't think I could go out there at less than 100% and perform well enough to put good film on tape so that when I'm a free agent next year, I can get paid the maximum amount. And so I think that's probably the conversation that happened a little bit behind the scenes, and that's why Kevin Stefanski and the team decided that he's not the starter anymore. And that's why Dewan had earned that job, and that's why he was playing that position. So I think that Jed Wills' time as a Cleveland Brown is probably finished. I mean, I think he's going to play out this season, but it doesn't seem like they want to extend him. And it's hard to argue that they should keep him around, because he hasn't improved in that area of locked in, being mentally focused and ready every single play from the time when he got here and he was making those silly mistakes. And now here in his fifth season, making those same mistakes. And, for a left tackle, you just, that can't be the MO. And if after 5 years in one system, you can't figure that out, like, I don't think you're ever going to figure it out.
Joe, let me ask you this, because unfortunately you played on some bad teams when you was with the Browns. Now the Browns sit at 2-8. The playoffs seem like they are far-fetched. What was your motivation to continue to play hard at this moment? What are guys in the locker room thinking? I know I played myself, but not to the magnitude that you played. I obviously was still trying to fight to stay in the league. You were in a different boat than me. So what kept you motivated to play hard every Sunday, even though the playoffs was not a possibility?
My first coach in the NFL, Romeo Crennel, had a lot of great words of wisdom because he coached with Bill Parcells and Bill Belichick and won a bunch of Super Bowls. And he would always talk about the reason we're in training camp, right? And, you go through the dog days, and that was in the old days where we used to have 2-a-days. And he would say, if you're a rookie, you're proving to everybody that you can be here and you do belong. If you're a veteran, you're proving to everybody that you still belong and that you still have it. And so no matter where you are in your career, when you go out on that football field, you're trying to prove to somebody something. And that was the mentality that I always took. But even more than that, and it doesn't matter what level of football you play, whether it's junior varsity or middle school or high school, college, NFL, whatever, like there's a brotherhood that I think you get being on that field, going through the difficulties of practice and training camp and the blood, sweat, and tears that you guys all shed together. And you build a love and a respect for each other and a trust that, for me, the ultimate definition of team is like, I care more about your success than my own success. And so even though the season was meaningless, maybe for me, like later in my career, right, I had a long-term contract. They weren't going to cut me. They weren't going to get rid of me, even if I didn't play well or if I sat out. And so we're not playing for the playoffs. Like, it's easy to say personally, I've got nothing to play for and I might as well sit out, rest the knee, try to play longer in my career. But I think it was that love that I had for my teammates, for the guys that were around me, that allowed me to easily go on that field every single week, even in the season where 1-15, 0-16, and say, when I'm out here, I'm giving the guys around me their best opportunity to be at their best. And I love them so much that I'm willing to put myself and sacrifice my own body so that they can get their next contract, so that they can prove to the people in the NFL that they belong, if they're rookies or if they're vets, that they still belong and they still have a place in this league. And so playing next to Joel Bitonio when he was a younger player, like it was easy knowing that, hey, even if I'm 70%, if I'm dealing with some injuries, I'm better than my replacement. And me being out there is going to help Joel and it's going to help him develop. And then hopefully somewhere down the line, he's going to appreciate the sacrifice that I made being out there for him, because it allowed him to be at his best and to show his best every single weekend. And that hopefully he would return the favor to the next guy that he plays with. And so I think that's just sort of a code of being an offensive lineman, but I think it permeates throughout the entire roster, right? It doesn't really matter what position you're in. If you have that love for your brothers and that respect for those guys and you build that trust, like you want to be out there for them more than yourself.
Joe, last thing to wrap it up. Late in your career, obviously, we've talked about this before, you had a chance to go with Peyton Manning and the Broncos and play for a championship, and you decided you didn't want to do that. You wanted to be with the Browns and retire a Brown, and the fans loved you for it. Every fan would have understood if you chose to go and would have still loved you, but the fans loved you for wanting to be a Brown for the rest of your career. Well, in my opinion, the two best players who have played for the Browns since you retired, Myles Garrett and Nick Chubb, may be at crossroads in their career. Now, Myles still has a contract, but, with his power in the league, he could ask for a trade at this point with all the frustration he's had. Nick's a free agent at the end of the year. Myles is going to be, like you, Myles is going to be a Hall of Famer someday. Nick, you never know what running backs. We'll see how the rest of his career goes. He's got a chance to be a Hall of Famer. If they came to you, if Myles and Nick came to you, Joe, and said, hey, Joe, what should I do? If they wanted your advice on being a Brown the rest of their careers or moving on to try to play for a better team, what would your advice be to them?
Well, for me, I loved Cleveland. I loved the organization. And when I got there day one, knowing the history of the franchise, I said, you know what, the greatest thing that I can do in my career, above and beyond being a Hall of Famer, would be being part of this franchise, this once proud franchise, being part of it when they were able to turn it around and turn this thing into a winner and maybe win a championship someday. And so for me, like, that was a real motivator, because that was, to me, the pinnacle of being a Cleveland Brown. Hey, let's give them their first Super Bowl ever. I want to be part of that. I want to be part of that building process. That would be way more meaningful for me than to go somewhere else and win a ring with a team that you just showed up and you've been there a few games or even a year or maybe a couple years. And without having that specific conversation with Miles or Nick, I would assume, based on the conversations I have had with them and the things that they've said publicly and just how they've invested themselves in the community, I would think that they would love it the same way that I did being in Cleveland, and have the same love for their teammates, for the city, for the organization that I had. And so I think that they would probably want to stay, because I think being here and building something is really something that's special. And that's something you'll always remember above and beyond any Super Bowl ring or any championship that you could get going somewhere else. And then I think too, I don't know how much nostalgia today's players have, but for me, I grew up in the era where you draft a guy and then he plays most of his career in one spot. And I think that was meaningful for me. And that was always in the back of my mind too. Like, I just kind of wanted to be with one franchise. I didn't really like the idea of going to a bunch of different places. Like, I think there is something to be said. There is value in being with one franchise your entire career. And for Miles, certainly Hall of Fame career. And like you said, Nick, not sure, but just wearing one helmet, I think that has a lot of value that people don't really properly evaluate and talk about enough.
Joe, we appreciate it. You're the best. Thank you so much for joining us.
Appreciate you.
Hey, thanks for having me on, guys.
Thanks,
All
Joe.
right, man.
He's the best, man. And the Browns should. I mean, how about he's the next offensive line coach for the Browns?
Man.
Not be against it.
What you talking about? Like, can we put that order in right now? Stop
Yeah.
being dumb, bro. What are you talking about?
Dude, the guy is like, I mean, intelligence through the roof. He talk. I love
Great
that he's
communicator too.
I mean, he's
That's how
phenomenal.
you keep it real. A lot of you old dudes be coming on places. I don't know if you still want to get tickets. This is the way you come on shows and keep it a buck. You see, he had to tell it like it was. Like, yo, bro, you can't do that. I'm sorry, you up out of here.
Yeah.
All right, we got a few super chats, then we'll get ready for overtime. Michael Ribovich says, "Gee, I'll give you a pass since you clearly haven't watched much wrestling, but Randy Orton is literally called the Legend Killer."
I mean, Randy Orton, man. Listen, man. Listen, he's not in the top 10.
G's older. I'm older, so he's not our generation of wrestling.
I can give you 10 right now that he's not in.
We'll do that in overtime. Donnie
Okay.
M says, last time Mobley played against Boston, he put up 33 on the Celtics in the playoffs. I think that helped give him some confidence this season. Book it. 23 points, 9 rebounds, 4 blocks tonight for Mobley.
Dang.
Joshua Hessler says, does anyone have a parlay for tonight? I need a winner. Josh tweeted Earl. He's got the parlay tonight. Earl's the parlay
I got
king.
a parlay. I'll bet Rivers.
And
A video
check
will
out
be up
Bull's
later
Twitter.
today.
Yeah, check out Bull's Twitter. Tweet at Earl, check Bull's Twitter. And lastly, Christian Story says, Cavs Nation, baby, 16-0. Here we come.
Get Unc ready.
Let's do it.
Let's do
16-0,
it.
7 o'clock tip. We're talking more Cavs in overtime. Keep the conversation going.
See you there.
Unc
in
better
just a
come
minute.
with it.
Peace.
Dun, dun,